right, guys, welcome in. Welcome in. This was a mad dash to get ready just in time. I hate to be late. I hate to keep people waiting when they've given me their time. They've showed up on time. I want to show up on time. Back to you guys. We've got a big show lined up today. We've got a big show. There's something that's been bothering me time after time after time, and it is this simple problem of why are the Fed sloppers so committed? Why are the Fed sloppers so committed to the cause? In the face of all evidence, they're committed. Now, I understand the TPUSA people being committed in the face of all evidence because there's potential liability issues, potential credibility issues. But if you're some strapping young 30-year-old buck living in Phoenix and you're like banging away on your keyboard all day trying, I'll show that Baron Coleman. I'll show him right now. I will get to the bottom. He is a grifter. Why are you so committed, bro? Why are you so committed when we show evidence after evidence after evidence? Why are you so committed? If you're some I don't know, some stay-at-home mom, I don't know. Like I get the weirdest feeling from these people who take such an interest in being right about whether or not Tyler Robinson was solely responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk. We're here trying to figure out who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. If the answer to that conversation, if the answer to those questions ends up being Tyler Robinson, well, then we've done our job. But oh no, someone said, can I please turn the on-air sign on? I told you it was a mad dash. I didn't remember everything, ladies and gentlemen. Daisy can testify. I was scrambling at the last second, turning on lights, closing windows, turning on lamps. Apparently I forgot one, but that's okay. It'll be on next time. I'm not standing up and unplugging and getting all the stuff I have to do. All right, I'm doing it. You guys, this is what you guys deserve. I'll be right back. There we go. Don't say I've never given you guys anything. I do everything for you guys. I sacrifice, I give, I unplug, I plug back in. I can't hear a thing right now because I'm unplugged. All right, now we're back. Ladies and gentlemen. But the camera apparently moved because we're on We're not on air. We're on Just pretend like you can see the rest of it. I'll move the camera later. We've got a lot lined up today. We've got a ton lined up today. And what we're going to do is eventually, I think, definitively solve on what day was Tyler Robinson Mirandized. And this is why I asked the question of why are these people so committed? Because in the face of all evidence, in my opinion, seems to point to the fact that he was Mirandized at 6:25 p.m. in Washington County. We've had 3 separate shows on it, and we shouldn't have had to. One should have sufficed. I should not be here for a 4th time bringing you yet additional evidence to prove when he was Mirandized. But I think it's important. Not because I think it'll take down the prosecution. I think if I'm right, I think it shows a tremendous gap in the credibility of the FBI, the local sheriff's department, the prosecution. I think it shows a tremendous gap in everybody. But that's not the important part. Why this bothers me, why it matters to me is we have people on X, we have people on YouTube who are so committed to being right on this issue. And what it shows is they're not committed to the truth. That's irrelevant to them. What they're committed to is winning this argument. They want Tyler Robinson to be found guilty, even if he's not. So we'll show that evidence today, and I think it's pretty compelling. It's something that's been sneaking around out there in the background a long time. We just haven't noticed it. So we're going to get to that. We're also going to get to a little bit of the Tyler Robinson hearing that took place this morning. There, and it looks like part of it's been continued, I think, until Friday. So we'll tell you what that is. If we have time, when we get to the end, we will do a little update on the law. Maybe I'll hold this till Wednesday's show, but there's been an update in Utah law that I think might foretell that at least someone was aware the Charlie Kirk death would take place in the cozy confines of the state of Utah. And there was a law change long ago in advance. I hope to get to that today if we have time. Depends on how long we get to the rest of this. So let me roll through this. Let me do the opening statement, because the more I cover the when Tyler Robinson was Mirandized, the more I realize these chaps, these losers on X don't know what it means to be Mirandized and don't understand why I'm so convinced. So I'm going to give them a little history lesson today. Give them a little history and a little logic lesson I've got my book if I need to get it out. I don't want to read from Logic 101, but I will if I have to. It won't be the first time I've done it. So anyway, let's take down some Fed slop today. Shall we? Shall we? Because this is your opening statement. We've talked a whole lot about Miranda rights on this show. I think at least 3 different shows we've had significant segments dedicated to trying to figure out whether the sheriff's office in Washington County gave Tyler Robinson something known as Miranda warnings while he was in custody in Washington County on September 11th, 2025. That's the day after Charlie Kirk was killed. The official Fed slop narrative is he was not Mirandized until the following evening, 6:25 p.m., September 12th, a Friday. And we've dedicated significant portions of the show to demonstrate that that's an illogical position. It's nonsense. Tonight, we'll go one step further. It's important, as we've discussed, because the dateless transcript where Tyler Robinson was read his Miranda warnings is time-stamped 6:25 p.m., but it is not date-stamped. We don't know what date it took place just looking at the transcript. We have to use extrinsic evidence. And the reason it's important is because 6:25 p.m. is more than an hour before Tyler Robinson allegedly took to Discord to confess publicly to anyone who happened to come across a link to the Discord chat that he was guilty, or at least he was a part of a guilty party in the murder of Charlie Kirk. It's also important because the timing could implicate Sheriff Brooksby, FBI Director Kash Patel, and a host of other law enforcement officers in an ongoing lie, a material lie, critical to the investigation. That lie is whether Tyler Robinson turned himself in to Washington County before 6:30 p.m. on September 11th, or was it closer to 9 p.m.? We could check the security tape, of course. That would make a lot of sense, and it would let us know, for example, is it daylight outside? Well, we can't, though. We can't, because the sheriff's office at first refused to release the camera footage when it was properly requested by a local news station. Then they claimed it was deleted when it was again properly requested by a local news station. And now they claim it can't be turned over because it was taken by other agencies investigating the murder. That's a nonsensical position. That's the first sign there's something seriously wrong. But what are Miranda warnings? Why are we so fixated on them in this particular case? We've got a good chunk of our audience that watches from overseas, about a fifth to a quarter. We also have a lot of people in the United States who are not lawyers, have never been arrested, maybe don't watch a lot of television, and are relatively unfamiliar with Miranda warnings. We have some of you who think you know what they are, but don't really understand the importance of them. So I'm just going to give you a little brief outline, a broad brush here. This is not detailed case law. Phrase Miranda warning or Miranda rights comes from a 1966 Supreme Court decision titled Miranda versus Arizona. Before 1966, American law enforcement operated in what was basically a lawless Wild West system of obtaining confessions. Interrogation practices often relied on coercive third-degree tactics. Things were physical violence, prolonged isolation, psychological pressure, deprivation of food or water or sleep, even threats or promises of leniency. These methods were pretty common in the early to mid 20th century, particularly in cases involving marginalized communities. The Supreme Court had begun addressing the worst abuses, but they were using the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. And they did so on a case-by-case basis, and they used something called the totality of the circumstances test. And what they were trying to do was determine if a confession truly was voluntary. Unfortunately for defendants, this approach was subjective, and it often failed to prevent injustice. There's a case called Brown versus Mississippi, all the way back in 1936. There were 3 black tenant farmers who were arrested for the murder of a white planter. They were subjected to brutal torture. There are no other words for it. You read the case, it's disgusting. They were whipped. They were hung by ropes from trees. They were beaten. They were threatened with further violence until they finally confessed. To the slim credit of the police, they held up their end of the bargain, and after they confessed, they stopped beating them. But despite the clear evidence of coercion, Mississippi courts back in 1936 upheld their convictions and their death sentences. The U.S. Supreme Court unanimously reversed and held that the convictions basically had to be thrown out. And it issued a rule saying if a confession rests solely on confessions extorted through brutality, then it violates the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. Chief Justice Charles Evans Hughes of New York emphasized that such practices were revolting to the sense of justice. This was the first time a court reversed a state conviction based on a coerced confession. Ultimately, it didn't establish the bright line rule, though. There was no preventative warning required. So problems abounded. False confessions were elicited from innocent or even vulnerable suspects, including those with intellectual disabilities or under extreme duress. This obviously led to a rash of wrongful convictions. The Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination was undermined in practice. Systemic biases disproportionately affected poor and minority defendants who lacked resources or even basic knowledge about the criminal justice system and their rights. Police accountability was minimal. Convictions often hinged on these confessions, these questionable statements that were obtained behind closed doors. There was a precursor case right before Miranda came out. In 1964, there was a case called Escobedo versus Illinois. Supreme Court held a suspect had a right to counsel during police interrogation once the process shifted from investigatory to accusatory. These incremental steps highlighted this growing recognition that there was a problem with custodial interrogation. It was inherently coercive and required some protections. And then you enter the Miranda case. Miranda itself arose from events in Phoenix, Arizona, back in 1963. Ernesto Arturo Miranda, 23-year-old man with limited education, was arrested at his home in connection with the kidnapping and what I'll call intimate assault of an 18-year-old woman. Use your mind. Use your brain. I got to get around the YouTube people. He was identified in a lineup by the victim. He was taken to the police station, and he was interrogated for about 2 hours in a room by two officers. At the end of the 2-hour interrogation, he signed a written confession admitting to the crimes. The form included a typed statement that the confession was made voluntarily with full knowledge of my legal rights, understanding any statement I make may be used against me. However, the officers later admitted at trial Miranda had not been advised of his rights. He had not been advised of his right to remain silent. He had not been advised of his right to an attorney before or during questioning, and he had not requested counsel because he wasn't made aware of his rights. Miranda was charged with kidnapping. He was charged with this intimate assault, and at trial, both his oral and written confessions were admitted into evidence. The jury convicted him, and he was sentenced on both counts to 20 or 30 years each. The Arizona Supreme Court affirmed the convictions. They found no violation of his constitutional rights because he had not specifically requested an attorney. The U.S. Supreme Court took up the case. They consolidated his case with a few other cases. And on June 13, 1966, in a 5-4 decision, meaning it was close, it could have gone either way, a 5-4 decision written by Chief Justice Earl Warren, the court reversed Miranda's conviction. They held that Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination applies to state proceedings. It protects individuals in custodial settings. Court said custodial interrogation has a definition that we can all agree on. It is questioning initiated by a law enforcement officer after a person has been taken into custody or otherwise deprived of freedom. Court said the custodial interrogation is inherently compelling and creates pressures that can undermine a suspect's will to resist. Without any adequate safeguards, statements obtained cannot be considered voluntary. So to protect the privilege, the court required some procedural safeguards before interrogation. Suspects must be clearly informed that they have the right to remain silent, that anything they say can and will be used against them in a court of law, that they have a right to an attorney, and that if they can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed to them before questioning begins. After these warnings, a suspect may knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily waive the rights and agree to speak. If the suspect invokes the right to remain silent or invokes the right to an attorney at any time, the questioning has to stop. That's going to be important tonight. The court placed a heavy burden on the prosecution to demonstrate a valid waiver if the statements will be later used. And the decision drew on some historical concerns. There was an incommunicado interrogation. There were FBI practices that they looked at as a model, but they recognized the need for clear rules rather than some sort of subjective test. There were dissenters, including, four of them. They argued the ruling lacked firm constitutional grounding and it would hamper legitimate law enforcement, and it went well beyond what the Fifth Amendment text required. Even after the reversal, Miranda gets a new trial. Guess what? He's convicted again. It did not set him free. He was convicted again based on other evidence that included witness testimony, and he was resentenced to the exact same term. He ultimately was paroled in 1972 and later killed in a bar fight in 1976. But we all know his name, Miranda. All know his name. His name lives on. But the ruling applied prospectively in a lot of contexts, and it fundamentally changed police practices nationwide. In the decades since, the Miranda warnings have become a gold standard. They're a routine part of law enforcement procedures. Police departments even issue wallet-sized cards, even standardized scripts that officers have to memorize and read verbatim to suspects before custodial questioning. Warnings are often followed by questions confirming understanding and even a waiver form that the suspects may sign. Absent that, they will record the waiver. Training emphasizes proper delivery, documentation, and the consequences of a suspect invoking his rights. If a suspect clearly invokes the right, for example, the right to remain silent or request an attorney, boom, interrogation's over. It has to stop until a lawyer shows up. The practice is so embedded that it is dramatized in almost every TV show or movie that has a cop in it. The phrase, "you have the right to remain silent," is just part of American pop culture. Officers routinely Mirandize suspects as a matter of course and arrests if there's even a potential chance that there will be questioning. There were some studies that looked to see whether these rights really had any kind of impact at all on confession rates. And it didn't cripple investigations, as a lot of critics feared, but the waivers became pretty common. Suspects believed cooperating could help them, and it might help them look good. I'm here to tell you that's not true. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. Ask for a lawyer. But the requirement applies only to custodial interrogation, not voluntary statements, not non-custodial encounters, not spontaneous utterances. But there have been a lot of cases, state and federal courts, where confessions were suppressed due to violations of Miranda, and it has even led to things like acquittals, dismissals, or really favorable plea deals because the statements were really the only strong evidence against the person. For instance, unwarned statements obtained through something called sequential or question-first techniques have been excluded, and that weakens prosecutions. That is where somebody asks you the questions, you get the confession, and then you Mirandize them and ask them the questions again. Well, they've already committed to an answer. They feel stuck. The courts have frowned on that. So I want you to think about a situation when a sheriff or a law enforcement official says that a suspect, quote, refused to answer questions or ask for a lawyer. What do you conclude happened before the suspect refused to answer questions or ask for a lawyer? Well, the conclusion is inescapable. If someone refuses to answer questions, it's only because questions were asked. You can't refuse to answer a question that was never asked to you. A statement by a sheriff that a suspect refused to answer questions is nearly bulletproof evidence that the suspect was read his Miranda rights, because no sheriff in the United States in the year 2025 or 2026 is going to sit a suspect down in custody and start asking questions without first reading the suspect Miranda rights. No suspect can possibly refused to answer questions that weren't posed. So the invocation of these specific rights, particularly the right to counsel, would occur only after the warnings have been administered. That is, when the suspects are informed they possess these rights and they're able to exercise them at that point. Officers document these invocations, and they do it precisely because they demonstrate compliance with Miranda. And again, documentation could be a written waiver or even a video recording that's time-stamped and produced to the defendant in discovery. I think tonight we're going to see that that is exactly what happened. There's been some hidden, buried evidence deep in the media archives, and because there has been such a volume of evidence in this case, because there's been so much evidence in this case, so many news reports, so much coverage. I mean, we've done 132 shows on this case. Other people have done more. Some people do 6-8 shows a week on this case. That sometimes you forget everything that you've read. And when it's pointed out to you, you say, oh my gosh, why didn't I remember that? So we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that tonight. I do want to first go over, though, what happened today in the Tyler Robinson hearing. I can do this pretty quickly. There were basically three issues. One was, are we going to hold the prosecution in contempt for running to TMZ and running to NBC News and telling them that they have enough evidence to convict Tyler Robinson, even if the bullet evidence is a little suspect? Are we going to hold them accountable for that? As of right now, we don't know. That hearing was this morning. We expected an answer, and we don't have one yet. The reason we don't have one is because the judge has moved the ruling on the contempt issue. That's the contempt issue. He's moved that ruling to Friday. So we won't find out until Friday. I don't know why he did that. Surely he already knows which way he's going to rule. The only thing I can think of is they're writing up a really solid order, and that order is not yet done. And he thinks it'll be done by Friday. If it's not an order issue, if it's not like some long, voluminous order with a lot of citations to the record, it's just that he wants to hit the end of the news cycle, I would think. Doesn't want to be have that issue on Monday and then have to be obliterated by the news all week. Give it on Friday and let that bad boy soak in over the weekend. Let the shock wear off so that when the news cycle picks back up Monday, it's not as bad. That really could lean either way. If he's working on a really long order, that's probably in favor of the prosecution, because what he's doing is he's documenting his reasoning for the appeal. And I think that weighs in favor of the prosecution. If he's just trying to avoid the news cycle, I think that weighs in favor of the defense. But the reality is we don't know which he's doing. But we know he had planned, or we all had planned for him to announce that ruling today, and he didn't. So that's number one. The defense has gone one step further, though, and they said, hey, if you find contempt, we want the death penalty off the table. I don't think there's a chance in HE double hockey sticks the judge would grant that, but I understand why they're asking for it. If they can get the death penalty removed from this case, it gives a lot of breathing room to the defense. It takes a lot of pressure off of the preparation for trial. You can now really dig in and focus on things and not worry quite so much about the procedural aspects of the trial. And there's been a lot of frustration both among people who believe Tyler Robinson did it and people who don't believe Tyler Robinson solely planned and executed Charlie Kirk by himself with a 30-06 from the Losey Center. There's been a lot of frustration from both sides of that. And the reason is because it's slow. But it's slow, I think, in part because the death penalty is on the table. So you remove the death penalty, and I think it'll speed up a little bit. So that's number one. That's the number one thing. Number two, the defense had asked to bring Lance Twiggs in person to testify. I think they should have done it. He's available. We know where he is. It's in Houston, Texas. He was photographed by a British tabloid paper. He looked very much non-furry. He looked very much non-transitioning. He looked like a normal early 20s male with, punk rocker haircut and, probably in need of a little Clearasil, if we're being honest. But he didn't look bad. He looked like a normal kid. So the defense said, well, let's bring him in. You guys want to post a recorded video statement from him and have that be considered by the judge. Why don't we just bring him in and hear what he has to say himself? We'd like to cross-examine him. And the judge has said, no, we're not going to do that. He ruled on that today. We are not going to bring him in. Well, we think he's in Houston, Texas. According to Sheriff Nate Brooksby, he's been there since, we believe, at least September of this year, very shortly after it happened. Oh, God. I can't play that because there's music playing in the background. Fox News is the worst website on the planet. But trust me, he said he's very far away from here, meaning Utah. He said he's very far away from here. That was back on September 17th. I was going to show you his statement on that, but not going to be able to. If you're keeping tabs on the Twiggs family, just want to know what's going on with the Twiggs family. His sister just returned home from a Mormon mission in Bolivia. And his parents have been jet setting all over the world. They were remarkable global travelers. They were in Bali not terrible long ago. A few weeks ago, they were in Italy. Right now, I think they are either in Portugal or just returned home from Portugal in the last couple of days. So the Twiggs family's living large. Like, they're killing it. You guys remember in March of this month, of this year, just a few months ago, the Twiggs family opened like 9 businesses or something. I mean, it was something crazy. They opened a charity, several LLCs. They bought a house. They moved a house into a trust. I mean, it was crazy what all they were doing. The Twiggs family is killing life right now. I don't know what happened. They always seem to me, if you look at their past, it seemed like they had a little financial trouble in the past. No longer, my friends. No longer are they struggling. No. Bali, Italy, Portugal, houses, businesses, nonprofits. These people are succeeding at the game of life. I don't know what happened to them. I don't know what changed. Everything all of a sudden changed about 6 or 8 months ago. It's weird. The third thing is, and I guess this is part of saying Lance doesn't have to come testify, the state is relying very heavily on hearsay testimony called 1102 testimony in Utah. 1102 testimony is when witnesses retell what some other non-testifying witness told them. It's the definition of hearsay. The definition of hearsay is, I heard someone say it, and I'm going to say it in court as if it's true. That's the definition of hearsay. Like, you can't get a better definition of hearsay. But in Utah, hearsay is permitted at these preliminary stages. I'll show you an example of that. I have the rule 1102. These are 1102 statements, meaning these are out-of-court statements that we're going to introduce. This is the rule 1102 in the Utah State Courts up here at the top. Statement of the rule, this is what's called reliable hearsay. You know, the reason hearsay is not admitted in courts typically is because it's not reliable. That's the reason we keep hearsay out, is because it's not reliable. But in Utah, they get around that by just saying it's reliable. And then they define what is reliable hearsay. For example, they say reliable hearsay is hearsay evidence admissible at trial under Utah rules of evidence. So there are some types of admissible hearsay, and they're saying anything that would be admissible at trial, you can bring in early. I don't have a problem in the world with that. So we'll give you some just common examples. A statement by a party opponent, an excited utterance. These are just classic rules of evidence. Every court, state, federal court in America offers these hearsay exceptions, and Utah makes no exception. Makes no difference there. But then they have something called a hearsay evidence that's admissible at trial under 804, regardless of the available of the declarant at the preliminary examination. In other words, there are some times when a court will say, if a person's unavailable, we'll allow hearsay to come in. What they're saying is, even if they are available, we'll still allow the hearsay to come in. Now, some of these I don't have a problem with at the preliminary stage, like evidence establishing the foundation for authenticity. Don't have a problem authenticating documents at the hearsay level at the preliminary stage. Irrelevant. Bring them in trial. I get it. I understand why we have to do that. lab reports, scientific reports, no problem at the hearsay level with that. So if you want to bring in the ATF report, you want to throw it in front of the judge and say, hey, judge, look at this. I understand you don't want to have to bring some government employee in from Virginia all the way to Utah just to say, yep, that's my report. I get it. Medical records, same thing. Normally at trial, you have to have someone there who can verify the record or some stipulation. Not so in Utah at the preliminary stage. I don't have a problem with that. It's this one that bothers me. If someone is available, they should be forced to come in my opinion. You can't just say what they said. And that's what's happening here. So that is a quick summary of the three issues that came up today. The contempt issue, which has been booted till Friday, the denial of the subpoena to bring in Lance Twiggs, and then the reliable hearsay ruling saying that you guys can just dump documents on the judge and we don't have to worry about whether or not the people actually said that or whether they're available. So that's that. That's the summary of that. I want to clear something up on the timeline because this is sort of important with some things that have come up the last week or so in this investigation. And it is what was happening on 9/11, the day after Charlie died, but before Tyler Robinson turned himself in. We know he turned himself in on 9/11. The question is, was it at 6:30 or was it closer to 9 or 10? That's a discussion for a different day. Or that's a discussion for a different segment. I'm not going to talk about that right now. But there's a question of what was happening on September 11th before then. And I want to open real quickly some texts. This is something we've shown you guys before, but I want to open these texts because I think it gives us a clue of what was happening on that day. These are texts that are out of the arrest warrants. And I will show them to you here, and then we'll tell you why I think this is the case. So this is the first message from Tyler here. I'm sorry, but I think it might be it. If its way is clear, I can try to come your way to say goodbye. After that, I have to find a spot that I'll call the police to. So this is Tyler saying, hey, I'm on my way back to the house. I'd like to say hi to you. I'd like to talk to you face to face, to say goodbye. Lance says, are the cops outside? Why are you calling the police anywhere? And this is where Tyler says, I don't see the police yet, but I have no doubts they'll be on me within the hour. This is in the morning, by the way. I don't know why he thought they would be on him within the hour. I'll be giving my location up and going out on my own terms. This is this suicidal ideation that people are claiming Tyler had. I have no intention of being drugged through the courts in front of the country. Well, that's exactly what's happening, sir. Can I come see you? After that, I can call my dad and see if he's willing to help me or not. Can I come see you? And we had questions about this because we could not figure out why Lance wouldn't have been at his own home that he shared with Tyler. Did they really share a home? And Lance says, I'm at my parents' right now. Maybe I could make an excuse to head home for a little bit. And that's what we got hung up on. Why was he at his parents'? Why would he need an excuse to go home? He lived at home. Tyler says you'd need to do that right now. Any ideas? Any ideas for an excuse? I'm not going to be able to leave. What's something urgent I could leave for? Okay, he said, I said I'm swapping laundry, heading home now. I don't know whether he went home. Tyler said, I'll see you soon. And we have no idea what happened next. We don't know whether they saw each other at the house or not. But we couldn't figure out why he was having trouble leaving the house. Why was he unable to leave his parents' house? I think we now have an answer. And here is your answer. It was Amy Twiggs' birthday. Lance Twiggs' mom's birthday. See that? Sometimes I just want to not think about my birthday right there on September 11th, 2025, the day after Charlie Kirk passed away. But this morning I have reason to be excited. Not only did my family spoil me with fun things to wear all day to remind everyone around me of this day, but I'm also working to serve 50 families and protect them with living benefits as my 50th birthday month wish. We're almost halfway there, and I feel so much gratitude now. Thank you for all those helping me educate on the living benefits. This has been so purposeful. So we might have an idea of what was happening. And we get this. We get this piece of brilliance in here. Guess who wished her a happy birthday? The sheriff's wife. Catherine Brooksby. Small world. Small world. In about 12 hours, your husband is going to be the subject of intense media scrutiny all over the world. All over the world. So Amy Twiggs had her birthday, and it's highly probable, I would think, that Lance Twiggs was celebrating. And he didn't want to leave the house mid-morning for no reason and say, I'm done with your birthday today. I'm headed home for a little bit. So he said, well, I'm going to go swap laundry. And that's the last we hear. We don't know whether he went home to swap laundry, whether he saw Tyler. I don't know. But now we think we have some kind of an answer. It was her birthday. And we're aware that the sheriff's wife at least knew it was her birthday because she wished her a happy birthday. Small world. Now, let's get to the meat of tonight. In order to get there, I got to give a big shout out to somebody from across the pond. This is somebody who's done a lot of really good work on this. We've used their work on at least one other show. This Chris Friel here. Chris Friel is put this up. Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby tells Fox News the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin did not confess to authorities when he was turned in. He asked for an attorney and did not talk. So that was September 16th. That was put up. And we went looking for this today, and Daisy was tagged in that. So let's go through this and the implications of it and where that statement actually comes from. I think it's important to understand. First, we have a statement. This is the actual tweet that was quoted right there. So now we can get a timestamp on it because a lot of times when people do this, they cut the timestamps off. So this is a live tweet. That was not photoshopped in there. This is Matt Finn, FNC. He's a two-time SPJ investigative whatever for Fox News. Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby tells Fox News the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin did not confess to authorities when he was turned in. He asked for an attorney and did not talk. Well, there's some question. Was this just a random guy? I mean, this is double hearsay. We got Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooks saying it. We've got a Fox News reporter just saying it on Twitter. Is there any more to that? Well, yeah, here's the original story. Here's the original story from Fox News. Let's see if we can get through this without music. Alleged Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson charged with murder. Prosecutors to seek death penalty. Oh gosh, where was it? This was kind of a live feed that day. Hold on, let me go back and see the exact quote so I can find it. Why did that not come up? There it is. I knew it was highlighted somewhere. I just couldn't find it. There we go. This is this update on September 16th. Utah sheriff confirms police questioned roommate of suspect Tyler Robinson. So that headline is not about questioning Tyler. It's about questioning Lance. Sheriff Nate Brooksby told Fox News on Tuesday law enforcement questioned a person who identified as Lance Twiggs, who's a roommate of alleged Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson. Brooksby said Robinson's parents have been fully cooperative in the investigation. The suspect's father, Matt Robinson, is not in law enforcement, and here is your money line. This is what the Fed sloppers have to contend with. He also said Tyler Robinson asked for an attorney and did not confess to Charlie Kirk's murder on the night of his arrest. This is Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby talking about on the night of his arrest, Tyler Robinson asked for an attorney and did not confess to Charlie Kirk's murder. So let's go back through it. Why were we here in the first place? If you go back to the document that gave it all away, this is this redacted motion to exclude cameras. The state will not be able to produce such evidence. In this case, Discovery Bates 007 at page 20 indicates that on the evening of his arrest, So that's what they couldn't get around on the evening of its arrest. Tyler Robinson declined to be interviewed without having an attorney present. A video encounter of the Bates at the timestamp, blah, 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 indicates the following. And there's your timestamp, 6:25 p.m. So before we begin, I'm just going to read you your rights. This is the Miranda right. This is what we were talking about in the opening. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. Right to talk to a lawyer before advice before we ask you any questions. Right to have a lawyer with you during questioning. If you can't afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to you before questioning begins. If you decide to answer questions now, you can stop any time. Are you good to proceed? I'd love to talk to you. And he said, I'd like to speak with my counsel. Boom, it's over. Questioning's done. The moment he says that, it's over. I'm hoping for a fellow in Utah named Doug Terry. I'm told he's a pretty good attorney here. We talked about that. Here, meaning Washington County, not here, meaning 4.5 hours away, down in Washington County, while I'm sitting up in Salt Lake or Orem or Provo. I think my folks are trying to get a hold of him, told his office is closed for the night. Again, he knows his folks are trying to get a hold of him because he was just with them a couple of hours ago or just recently. Closed for the night because September 11th was a Thursday. September 12th would be a Friday. You wouldn't be closed for the night at 6:25 p.m. You'd be closed for the weekend. So there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that this is talking about September 11th. But until I've had the opportunity to speak with someone, I'd like to remain silent. Now, again, go back to Sheriff Nate Brooksby. This is Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby saying that Tyler asked for an attorney and did not confess. That is to me bulletproof evidence that it was in Washington County, in Sheriff Nate Brooksby's presence or in his office, that this happened. It's the same night. Sheriff Nate Brooksby's aware of it and the reason they're asking him is because he has firsthand knowledge of it. It was there. It was recorded. He did not confess. He asked for an attorney. And the only reason you would not confess and the only reason you would say, I want an attorney is because they've read you your Miranda rights, precisely what we just read. You saw the video. You saw the transcript of the video. He said very clearly in there exactly what the sheriff said. He did not confess, and he did not want to speak until he'd spoken to an attorney. You got to think counterfactually. Why would they go to the Washington County Sheriff's Office 4.5 hours ago for a conversation about what happened in Provo or what happened in Orem or what happened in Salt Lake City? They would not. They would not. It's over. This is definitive, in my opinion. It's just closed. And it's important. We'll talk about why it's important in just a second, but this is an extremely important fact in this case. It's absolutely extremely important. For example, does this now make sense? Does this now make sense? Why this was such an important thing for the Washington County Sheriff's Office to do? Possible missing evidence in the Charlie Kirk murder case. 2 News investigates uncovered possible missing surveillance video. Tyler Robinson turning himself into the Washington County Sheriff's Office just days after allegedly shooting and killing Charlie Kirk. Well, it was really the day after. And here's where Brooksby is setting up his CYA for getting the timeline all screwed up. Our job wasn't an interview. Our job was just to get him here. Well, I don't believe you. Because that's what he said on September 17th. But I just showed you what he said on September 16th. And on September 16th, he told Fox News that he asked for an attorney and didn't confess on the night of his arrest. And so what you have is you watching in real time an evolving cover-up, in my opinion. This is an evolving real-time cover-up. September 16th, it becomes very obvious that they've got a problem on their hands because they're saying he didn't turn himself in until closer to 8 or 9, maybe 10 o'clock at night. And the reality is he was there at before 6:30 because he was being Mirandized at 6:25. I just believe that's the fact. I don't believe the evidence supports a different conclusion. That's why 2 News asked for footage. And I'm telling you right now, the reason I believe they asked for footage is because everyone in Washington County was buzzing before 7 p.m. that Tyler Robinson had already turned himself in. That's just a known fact around Washington County. Everyone's afraid to talk about it on the record because nobody wants to be, pro Charlie Kirk death. And that's what people think it will be if they come out with it. But I'm telling you, I've talked to people who are aware that this was the common accepted wisdom before 7 p.m. on September 11th, that Tyler Robinson had turned himself in. And my guess is News 2 caught wind of that rumor and thought, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, because they're saying it's after 9 o'clock that he turned himself in. And everybody in Washington County said, no, it was before 7. We got the text right here. So 2 News goes and says, well, let's just get the footage. Let's just watch him walk in and we'll see what time it is. Is it daylight outside or not? If it's daylight outside, it was before 7. If it's not daylight, it was closer to 9. So they filed a public records request. And then the Washington County Sheriff's Office gets cute. We don't have anything responsive to this portion. He didn't go to this particular part of the jail area. Nana, boo-boo. We don't have to give you nothing. A few weeks later, 2 News re-ups the request and says, just give me anything you got that you can legally give me. We'll look at it. And then they say they don't have it anymore because they deleted it. No longer available after the 30-day retention period. In other words, it doesn't exist. After 30 days, we delete everything. They even went as far as saying, hey, was it sent to someone else? And they said, no, it's our understanding it was never sent out to any agency. Well, that's a lie. How do we know that's a lie? Because we just saw that footage exists. That's one reason we know it's a lie. But the other reason we know it's a lie is it has become the subject of litigation, and they said they have it. But they're not going to give it over. They admit now they have it, but they're not going to give it over. Brooksby went as far as to say all of the investigations are recorded. Here's a brief clip of a press conference with Sheriff Nate Brooksby with a weird answer here.
Was he recorded in that room?
All of our interactions in that room are recorded.
What a weird thing to say if he wasn't Mirandized. What a weird thing to say. And what a non-answer. Was he recorded? All interactions are recorded. All interactions are recorded. Listen to this again. It's a weird answer.
Was he recorded in that room?
All of our interactions in that room are recorded.
All our interactions in that room are recorded. Sounds like it was recorded on that day. So this is where the Fed sloppers come in. This is where the Fed sloppers come in, because without any evidence, defying all common sense, you have a whole cottage industry of people in social media, on X, on YouTube, and other places, who are coming to the rescue. They're white knighting the FBI and the sheriff's office. And they're trying to get out ahead of the fact, or not get out ahead of it, support their claim that Tyler Robinson didn't turn himself in until 33 hours later, which would be closer to 9:30 at night. The thing happened at 12:30. 33 hours later, 24 hours later, be 12:30 the next day. Add another 9 hours, you're 9:30 p.m. That's the end of the 33-hour manhunt, was 9:30 p.m. So the Fed sloppers believe, they want you to believe, that law enforcement officers had a nationally wanted suspect in custody for upwards of 20 hours before he was Mirandized. That he turned himself in at 9:30 p.m. that night, ish. That he was transported 4.5 hours back to Provo or back to Orem. 3.5, 4 hours. That he arrives around 2 a.m., that he's formally booked around 4 a.m. I guess gets a night's sleep, wakes up, eats breakfast. I don't know, plays cards with the homies, maybe betting with some loose cigarettes. I don't know what they do in jails these days. Learning how to take a bird bath, maybe. Crushing up some bags of Doritos and adding Coke to it and cooking it over a lighter. I don't know what people do in jail these days. You see all these crazy stories on social media. But Tyler Robinson's like full gangbanging all day, just hanging out with the homies in the jail. And then finally around 6:25 p.m., they bring him in. They're like, hey, yo, Tyler, I guess we forgot to do this part. Let's get this out of the way. You have the right to remain silent. Oh, no. Not for me. I'd like a guy, Doug Terry here. Here? Where? Doug Terry from Washington County? Yeah, he's here. He's local here. Okay. And his office is closed for the night. For the night, it's Friday night at 6:30, right? Yeah, my parents are trying to get in touch with him. How do you know that? You haven't seen your parents in 20 hours. You haven't seen your parents in 20 hours. How do you know they're still trying to get in touch with him? How do you know his office is closed for the night? How do you know they didn't get in touch with him all day Friday while you were waiting? We're to believe that he is taken into custody by 10 o'clock, begins the transport process back to Washington, back to Orem. He's booked. He arrives at 2 a.m. He's booked at 4 a.m. He waits another 14 hours to be Mirandized. And he knows in that whole time, that whole 20-hour gap, he knows his parents are still trying to get in touch with him, haven't gotten in touch with him. It's just a nonsensical position, guys. It doesn't make sense. Logically, it doesn't make sense. Rationally, it doesn't make sense. And it's vitally important to the case for two reasons. Reason number one, it exposes a multi-agency cover-up that involves the FBI, the Utah State Bureau of Investigation, the sheriff in Utah County up in Orem and Provo, the sheriff in Washington County, who multiple times has gone on the record saying he did not arrive, whoever is the records custodian in Washington County who fiddled around with the tapes and wouldn't give them over to News 2. Like, you're talking about a multi-agency cover-up, potentially the prosecutors, if they try to go forward with this nonsense. That's a bad deal. So that's number one, a multi-agency cover-up. It's a big deal. Number two, it exposes the Fed sloppers. It shows you they're dishonest actors, that they can look at the totality of the body of the evidence and say, yeah, but the only interpretation that supports my position is that Tyler Robinson, 20 hours after leaving his parents, 20 hours after being without a cell phone, 20 hours after not knowing what his parents were doing, 20 hours after not knowing if his parents got in touch with an attorney, 20 hours later is still thinking, well, I think my parents are trying to get in touch with them, but somehow I've divined. In the jail, we have these the steel toilets, right? Steel toilets just out in the middle of the room. I use it like a crystal ball. I know my parents haven't gotten in touch with Doug Terry yet. I've been looking into the toilet water. I was in there dropping tea leaves into the toilet water and reading the tea leaves. I know for a fact they have not gotten in touch with Doug Terry yet. But Tyler, you haven't talked to them in 20 hours. You haven't talked to them all day Friday. Maybe Doug Terry's sitting out in the waiting room. Well, I looked at the toilet. I saw the floater in there, and I saw the way it was spinning, and that told me that Doug Terry had not yet been contacted, and his office was closed for the night. He's probably one of those lawyers that does the rare Saturday morning office openings, I guess. I don't know. It's a Fed slop problem. And this is a huge part of this case is you have lying sacks of bull butter on the other side. I don't want to name them by name, but you know who they all are. And they sit on the other side and they come through on their little white knights, on their little midget horses, and they do everything they can to support the Fed slop narrative because they know deep down the Fed slop narrative is falling apart. It's absolutely crumbling. It's dying every single day. Can you be Mirandized more than once? Sure. But if you were Mirandized a second time, would you say all that? If that was the second time you were Mirandized, would you be like, I would like an attorney named Doug Terry from around here. I think my parents are trying to get in touch with him. No, you'd say, I still am not going to answer your questions. Still waiting on a lawyer. The only conclusion that makes any sense is that 6:25 p.m. Miranda was from Thursday night. That's why Doug Terry's office was closed for the night. That's how Tyler Robinson knew his parents were actively trying to get in touch with him. That's why he knew his parents had not yet gotten in touch with him, because he had just left his parents moments ago. That's why the sheriff, Nate Brooksby of Washington County, knew that Tyler had invoked his right to remain silent and had refused to answer questions without an attorney. That's why he told Fox News that. It's the only conclusion that makes sense. And so these Fed sloppers coming into White Night are a little disgusting to me. It's a little much. We've got a little more information based on a filing. Defendant Tyler James Robinson's reply in support of motion to close, seal portions of the preliminary hearing. And we have now an updated list of evidence. I want to roll through that just so you can get an idea of what they're going to try to go to trial with. Not go to trial with, but what they're going to try to go to the preliminary hearing with. You've got drone images of UVU. I'm assuming those are after the fact. Photo of the screwdriver. We assumed that was coming. Daytime photo of perch. Photo of sniper perch. Photo of sniper perch. Notice there's no classification there. So those things will all, in all likelihood, be available for the public. Video of mom and kids in the crowd. This is important because one of the charges is an enhancement or a different crime, actually, because he allegedly committed a weapons charge in front of a child. So they have to have evidence of that. Every element must be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. And they're saying that they may not want to release to the public because it will identify people. Well, I think you just blur out their faces. Let's see it all. Let's see everything you got. Written statement of AW. These are these 1102s we were talking about earlier. They don't want to give up that statement. That's probably just a witness who was there, I'm guessing. I don't think that's anybody important that we know of or have an idea who it is. Video of shooting from behind a questioner. This would be a video of Charlie from Face On. Video of Charlie from Face On. I think we've all seen this video footage. This is the one that's probably one of the more graphic ones of all of them. Then we got a written statement of TP. Don't know who TP is. We got a video shooting from behind Charlie Kirk. This, I think, is the footage that was played on Candace's program. And it doesn't look like we're going to see it. They're trying to say this should not be released to the public. It will be designated as a private court record. To me, edit out the blood and let's see it. Let's see what's going on there. Let's all look at it. Written statement from TPUSA. This is a little weird to me. I did not know TPUSA was going to be providing written statements. I did not know that, and I don't know what they could add, frankly. What could TPUSA say that would tend to prove that Tyler Robinson is guilty of the crime and should go to trial? Video of shooting from behind booth. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the booth is. Photo of rifle in bushes. Sounds like that's coming in, boys. We're going to be able to look at the video of the rifle in the bushes. We've got 3 other rifle photos that look like will be released to the public over. There doesn't seem to be any pending objection to that. The medical examiner report, guess what? You're never going to see that. I got bad news, guys. We'll talk about that in a minute, why I think you'll never see that. But that's probably never going to be made public, not even after the trial. UVU surveillance video from 910 and doorbell camera surveillance video from 910. This probably is going to be more surveillance video than was available to TMZ than we've already seen. For example, we know at least one from the arrest affidavit that there was a doorbell camera footage from like 12:30 at night that was turned over, where Tyler Robinson allegedly came back to the scene of where the rifle was recovered, purportedly, assumedly, in an attempt to recover the rifle that had already been taken by the police. Then we have another written statement of CN. A written statement of Mike Mitchell. I would love to see this written statement of Mike Mitchell because Mike Mitchell is the retired sheriff's deputy who assisted the Robinson family in turning Tyler Robinson in. I go back and forth. 50% of my brain, I'm not sure if it's the left side or the right side, but 50% of my brain believes Mike Mitchell is a monster who is in on the setup and was there to ruin Tyler Robinson's life. The other 50%, the other side of my brain, believes Mike Mitchell is a hero and may be the only reason Tyler Robinson is still alive. That there was a plan to remove Tyler Robinson from the earth, that fake text messages were already being prepared and sent to that effect. And Mike Mitchell convinced him to turn himself in, and that's why he's still alive, and that's why we're having a trial. But that it sounds like we will not be able to see what's in that until trial. This is the disputed video that we're told didn't exist. It was deleted. Well, apparently it did exist. Video from Washington County Sheriff's Office on 9/11/2025. They don't want to show us this. Why? It contains third-party witnesses that could be readily identified. Who are these third-party witnesses that could be readily identified? Are those Tyler's parents? We all know what they look like. Are they Tyler's grandpa? I mean, are they who are these people? Is it Lance Twiggs? And then we have the very controversial recorded statement of Lance Twiggs. Remember, this recorded statement was from April 20th. This is not the statement he gave to Washington County on September 11th. This is from April 20th. This is the month after his parents found a new charity, opened like 3 or 4 new LLCs, buy a house, put an old house in a trust. This is after all that takes place in March. Then Lance Twiggs comes in April and provides a statement. And now his parents are jet setting all over the world. They were in Italy a couple weeks ago. Then they were in, what was the other place? Portugal. They were somewhere else. We've got the text messages. Again, these are not actual text messages. These are photographs that could be anything, but we're not going to see them. We're not going to see them. I kind of hoped we would see these, even though they could possibly be fake, because at least they would have timestamps on them. And at least we'd be able to see where there are other text messages interspersed, because we only have what looks like part of a conversation. Then we have the Discord chats. Those are not going to be released. So we're still not going to know what Discord chats they're talking about. But again, if they're talking about the Discord chats that showed up with that AP reporter from Wisconsin, those Discord chats took place at 7:57 p.m. and later. Could be more than an hour and a half after Tyler Robinson was given his Miranda warnings. This is a little confusing. We have a photo of a note, and we don't know what that means because I thought the note was burned. Didn't you think the note was burned? What note are we talking about? But apparently this is a text message picture of a note because it says the text messages should be classified as protected. Then we have the FBI press release photographs. Well, of course, there's no objection there. They're only going to let us see the things that make it look worse for Tyler. The rifle rounds, I kind of hoped we'd see these because I want to see how much effort went into the engraving of the bullets. What a weird thing to do, by the way. Photo of a round from the apartment. Remember, they said they found matching rounds at the apartment. Photo of a burnt note. I don't know what a photo of a burnt note is. Is it just a pile of ashes in a trash can somewhere? Could you see a little bit of the note remaining? Is there enough note left that you could test it for things like Tyler Robinson's fingerprints, his handwriting sample, the pressure he puts on the pen, what type of pen he used? Was that pen available? Or are we going to see any of that? No, we're not going to see anything because they're not going to show us any of it. Photo of targets. Again, you're not going to see the targets from the apartment. The ATF DNA rifle report on the rifle and the cartridges. Not going to see that either, even though we've already seen parts of it or parts of something. FBI DNA report. Not going to see it. ATF ballistics report. Not going to see it. ATF DNA report. Not going to see it. Tool marks report. Nope. I'm not going to show you anything that people might be able to look at and determine if there's a cover up or if anything's being unfair here. Nothing like that will be shown. All that, the only thing we're going to show you is like 5 pieces of evidence that we've already talked about that the Fed sloppers love repeating. Oh, DNA on the rifle. You know, it's his rifle, right? His rifle's there. There was DNA on the rifle. His fingerprints also on the rifle. Yeah. My fingerprints are on this bottle of water. And my DNA's on this bottle of water. If this bottle of water is found at a crime scene, it doesn't mean I was there. It means someone could have taken it out of my house and transported it to the crime scene and set it down. And it would make perfect sense that both my fingerprints and my DNA would be on this water because it's my water. It's my water. My water. We get to a quick update on a Utah law change. I found this from a guy named Holon Citizen on X. I think this is really a fascinating piece of information. He has a long report on it. I'm going to do it a little differently, but I wanted to give him credit because he's the one that put me on this. But let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the current law in Utah relative to medical records, medical examiner records. This is the current law. It's effective 5/6/2026. And they talk about de-identification. There's just all this stuff in here, right? Long law, but you can't tell when different sections were added to this law. You just know that it's currently good law. You have no idea what's been added to this. So we have to go back and look at the modifications to it. Well, I found it. I found the modifications to the law. Your bill sponsor. She's the pitcher. Senator Stephanie Pitcher. She's the Peck. Representative Nicolene Peck. These are the sponsors of this autopsy photo amendment section. What a weird thing to worry about. Wonder what Stephanie Pitcher and Nicolene Peck were thinking of when they thought, if there's anything we need to take care of in Utah, it's not those dadgum data centers. No, we're not worried about those. It's not all the military contractors in it. No. We don't have to worry about that either. You know what we need to do? We need to make it a dadgum crime if you're possessing autopsy photos. I want to know what prompted this. I would love to talk to one of these two gals and say, what prompted you to sit down? What prompted you, Greg Gunn, to sit down? Who lobbied for this bill? Who did you talk to? Because you can see here the different changes. So this red is the parts that have been added to the bill. The black is the old part of the bill. See these blue with the strike through? That's the parts that have been removed. And then again, this 3 has been added. So because we added a section here, this section 1 here, we've had to add a 2 here. We've had to add a 3 here. See, we're just making these changes. These changes will flow all the way through. So every one of these numbers will have to be increased by 1 full number. 4 becomes 5, so forth and so on. But then we get down to an actual meaty substantive change here. A substantive change to Utah law shortly before Charlie Kirk was killed in Utah. A person who fails to comply with the requirements of this subsection is guilty of a Class B misdemeanor. It's 5C1A. So let's go up to 5C1A and see what it is that we're so scared of here. There's 5A, 5B, 5A there, 5A. Yeah, 5C1A. A person who obtains a medical examiner record under subsection 5A shall maintain the confidentiality of the medical record and de-identify the medical examiner record before using it in research. And if you violate that, you have committed a misdemeanor. So if you obtain medical record photos, for example, medical autopsy photos, medical examiner records, and you release them, you've committed a misdemeanor, Class B misdemeanor. It goes on to say, except as whatever, it is a Class B misdemeanor for a person who receives a photograph or video of a decedent to knowingly share, publish, or otherwise distribute or make available to another person or photograph or video of a decedent if the photograph is part of the medical examiner's record. What a weird thing to sit around and decide to change. Like, you know, I've been around the legislatures before. I've been around state legislatures. I know what it takes. I've lobbied to have bills passed and gotten them passed. I got a constitutional amendment passed in Alabama, requiring so only citizens of the state of Alabama can cast a lawful vote in any election. I know what it takes. You've got to identify the problem. You've got to draft up a solution. You have to go find somebody to carry your bill. That's what these two women were. They were the ones carrying the bill. This Representative Peck and Senator Pitcher. So you'd have to go find somebody in each house of the legislature and say, will you sponsor my bill? And then they have to agree to do it because it burns a little political capital. They got to go cut some deals. Hey, vote for my bill, this, that, and the other. You got to have somebody out there working the floor. You got to get it on the calendar. You've got to get it through the rules committee or whatever they have set up in Utah. It's got to be run through some smaller committee and they've got to vote on it. They get a chance to touch it up. Then it's got to be back into the main house. And then it's got to go to a floor vote. And then it's got to go up to the committee, get transmitted up to the Senate. And then it has to get assigned out to a committee in the Senate. Then it has to come back, go through that whole process. Then it's got to come back to the main body of the Senate, and then it has to go through some sort of a rules committee or somehow end up on a calendar, and then it has to, vote enough votes that day that it floats up the calendar, and then finally they get a chance to vote on it. Passing legislation is not easy. Who in Utah was this concerned that medical examiner photos or videos might leak out to the public? And if it is a massive concern, why has it never been addressed before 2025? Before a few months before Charlie Kirk passed away? Why is that when it becomes a concern? Now, I suppose on the outside, there's a possibility it has nothing to do whatsoever with Charlie Kirk. It's possible Representative Peck and Senator Pitcher just couldn't stomach the thought. After more than a century of not having this law in Utah, they just one day said, dadgummit, by golly, we've had enough of this. There's too big of a risk. People get examined by medical examiners. They'll take photos of the autopsy, perhaps a video. And just anybody could leak it. They could just get out in public. It's very consistent with everything else that's happening in this case. It's very consistent with everything else. We can't see the video footage from Washington County. We can't see the surveillance footage from Utah Valley University that would obviously show the guy allegedly taking a shot, getting into the prone position and taking a shot. We can't see him on the roof changing clothes or assembling the rifle. Nope, not allowed to see that. We're just told. Not allowed to see any of it. Not allowed to see the body cam footage from them discovering the rifle. Not allowed to see the dash cam footage from somebody scuffling in the car in front of them, driving 100 miles an hour down the road on the way to the hospital, and they radio in. Then they say, it looks like somebody's fighting in the car up there. It looks like somebody's struggling. Someone's hanging out of the passenger door. And can we look at that footage? No. Why not? I don't know. What about the footage at the hospital when he arrives at the hospital? That's just private hospital footage. That's not evidence of a crime. That's just people pulling up to the parking lot. Can we see that? No. Why not? The FBI took it. What are they doing with it? I don't know. Well, can we see the gun? No. Can the defense see the gun? No. This is the most secretive state I've ever encountered. Nothing is available. Literally nothing is available. Everything is captured, everything is taken, and when there's some loophole that might exist that might allow some medical examiner record to sneak out, and there's no criminal penalty attached to it, they go and fill that gap a few months before Charlie Kirk dies. What a weird coincidence. What a weird state of affairs is going on in Utah. What a perfectly normal state. What a perfectly normal state Utah is. No transparency at any level on any particular issue ever. You're not allowed to see anything. We will show you nothing. We will tell you what happened. We're not even going to show you any of this stuff when they go through the preliminary hearing. What a peculiar people. I think some enterprising reporter should reach out to Senator Pitcher and Representative Peck and ask who contacted them about passing this legislation. Why did you take such an interest in this legislation? Who brought this to you? Who said this would be a good idea? Why was it such a concern? Why did you burn precious legislative resources getting this passed? How many other bills didn't pass because you were messing around with this? And has this ever been an issue before? Like, was there some scandal in Utah that I'm not aware of the year before where somebody leaked out a medical examiner report? Because think counterfactually. Candace has mentioned lately potentially an exploding microphone. I've mentioned the exploding microphone. I've mentioned electrification of a handheld microphone. I've mentioned potential something going on with a necklace. I've mentioned maybe something was strapped to his body somewhere else because of something else they were doing. Maybe that caused a problem. I do know that he was not shot with a 30-06. There's no way. No way whatsoever. There's no one on the planet, no honest person on the planet who believes Charlie Kirk was shot on the side of his neck with a 30-06, and in that much muscle tissue, the 30-06 goes, "Eow." Nobody. There's nobody. That's not what 30-06s do. They arrive with 2,000 to 3,000 foot-pounds of force, and they just keep moving, and they just destroy whatever they touch. I watched a video today. Honest to God, I would show you the video, but YouTube hates guns. They will not let you look at guns. But I watched a video today of a 30-06 shooting through frying pans, cast iron skillets. They shot it at first with like a 22, and it didn't even go through the first cast iron skillet. They had like 10 cast iron skillets lined up, and they were seeing how far stuff would go through them. Then they shot it with a 9mm. I don't think it went through the first cast iron skillet. Then like a 45 maybe, and it went through one cast iron skillet and bounced off the second one. Then they shot it with a 50 cal AE, the Desert Eagle. It went through like 2 or 3, and then it fell down. Then they shot it with a 223. And then they shot it with a 308, and then they shot it with a 30-06. And the 30-06 went through like 5 frying pans, 5 cast iron skillets. Three inches of neck tissue. Feel how soft that is. I could like squeeze my neck down to about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And I got a big neck, like a 16.5-inch collar. You know, this is not like a little teeny neck. I mean, I could squeeze my neck down to like that. Like 4 or 5 cast iron skillets a 30-06 will go through. And they're trying to tell you it's going to arrive and just decide, nah, we've had enough. We've had enough fun. Let's just call it quits right here at the first part of the neck tissue. Party's over, boys. Go home. No, I don't believe it. He was not shot with a 30-06. It's unbelievable. It's not possible. Nobody believes it. You guys are full of crap. Everybody who's promoting that is a liar. They don't know what they're talking about, or they're just flat out lying. It's not what happened. Period. End of story. Not allegedly, not in my opinion. That's a fact. He was not shot with a 30-06 in the neck. Period. Not shot with a 30-06. Okay, allegedly, in my opinion, don't take my video down YouTube. Why do I raise this? Because this bill, if you were allowed to see the autopsy photos, if they weren't protected by criminal legislation, what might you see on that autopsy photo? What might you see on that video? Well, you're not going to see an exit wound. You're not going to see an exit wound. And you're probably not going to see damage consistent with a 30-06 arriving at the neck with around 3,000 foot-pounds of force. Because it would just be catastrophic. And you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that. Did they find a bullet in Charlie Kirk? They say they did. They say they did. The guy who performed the autopsy, of course, has gotten a promotion and another job. He's the head cheese somewhere else now. He was the assistant or the sidekick or whatever where he was before, but now he's gotten the promotion. The head medical examiner, of course, she was new, you know. She had just been appointed to the place very soon before this all happened. Anybody who had access to that body could have shoved something in that hole. Anyone. And if they did, it might not be a perfect match to the gun. It might not be able to be matched precisely to the weapon. It might just be the right size, you know. I think I'm fairly confident that this is a very wide-ranging conspiracy. Unless you think only crazy people allege conspiracies potentially involving dozens and dozens of people, remind yourself of the video we watched last week. I don't know that I have it available at my fingertips, but we watched a video last week of Charlie Kirk talking about the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination. And he was saying all the things in his mind that did not add up. And he listed off a number of things that didn't add up. And then he made the statement at one point. He said, listen, I'm telling you right now, this, I think, is a conspiracy involving potentially dozens of people, including law enforcement officers and others. Well, I agree with you, Mr. Kirk. I think that's what we're dealing with here. I think it's a very wide-ranging conspiracy to cover up your murder and make it look like a guy named Tyler Robinson shot you from the Losey Center with a 30-06, and that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And it all starts with the cover-up. It all starts with the cover-up of what time Tyler Robinson turned himself in. And that's why they're going to die on that hill. That's why all the Fed sloppers are going to commit to dying on that hill. Because if it turns out we were right, if it turns out your humble host is right, and at 6:25 p.m. on Thursday, September 11th, Tyler Robinson is sitting at the Washington County Sheriff's Office getting Mirandized, the fact that dozens of people are involved is no longer speculation. It's fact. It's established. It's established. Because all of a sudden, you've got the Washington County Sheriff's Office involved, the Utah County Sheriff's Office involved, the FBI involved, the State Bureau of Investigation involved. That's just domestic. That's just domestic. That's just inside the state of Utah. That's just law enforcement. And you've got to ask yourself, if they're involved in covering up what time he turned himself in, what the hell really happened out there in Utah? What happened at Orem? What happened at Utah Valley University that they would risk a cover-up like this? You guys know the crime is often not the crime. That's not how people get caught. They get caught in the cover-up. That's why I'm willing to die on this hole. That's why I've dedicated 4 shows to this single issue. Because if our goal is to figure out whether there's a conspiracy, whether there's a cover-up, whether we've been lied to about what happened, this piece of evidence could blow the whole thing wide open. Whether or not Tyler Robinson turned himself in at 6:30 or 9 p.m. becomes the case. And if he was there at 6:30, guys, we have a multi-agency law enforcement cover-up to cover up what time he turned himself in. And if they're covering up what time he turned himself in, guess what? He didn't do it. I'm just telling you right now. If they're covering up what time he turned himself in, what else are they covering up? Because you've got the sheriff out there on stage saying he turned himself in later. You got Kash Patel going on stage and on TV saying he turned himself in later. The director of the FBI. And it's not a small leap to go from, oh, they're covering up what time he turned himself in to, oh, they're covering up that he actually pulled the trigger. That's why they're dying on this hill. That's why they're pushing so hard on this issue. If you've liked the program, guys, if you've liked the program, by all means, hit the like button, because only about a third of you have, and that's disgusting. That's disgusting. Make yourself known. Hit it. I'm going to save the rest of this. We're already an hour and a half in. I'm going to save the rest of this for Wednesday. We have some interesting timeline clarifications that I want to get to, but we just don't have time tonight, because to open this up, this is going to be another 30-minute segment, and then that puts us at 2+ hours. And then by the time we go through the chats, it's a long night. It's a long night. Don't forget to subscribe. Check to see if you're subscribed. A lot of people have been unsubscribed, not knowing, against their wills, against their knowledge. So go make sure you're still subscribed. Hit the like button while you're there. I hate to beg, but I'll beg. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. It's very kind of you to do so. Let me roll through some of your comments. Celebrated the feast day of your patron saint, St. Thomas More, my daily rosary. God bless you, Baron and fam. Christ is king indeed. Is that today? June 22nd. Well, how about that? Thank you so much, Claudia. You just taught me something I didn't know. Thank you very, very much. I bet Mrs. Coleman knows that. She knows things like that. How come Harpole is in possession of Charlie's bloody items? Shouldn't they have been taken by authorities? I wish Sean accepted. I know, sick, but could be tested for explosives, I guess. Well, I'll be honest. I had that same thought. Not the explosives. I more looked at it as, I wish he'd accepted so they could just test, just a quick Q-tip test to see if it's blood. Because that would put the Charlie still alive people to bed. Like, is this blood? Is this his blood type? Like, we could figure out what a blood type was. Someone would answer that. Just, you can blood type something at home. I thought about that. But I see why he didn't. My gosh, would you want a bloody bag in your office, in your studio? Ugh, what a sicko. Not Sean Ryan, the other guy. The other guy. What if the FBI cleared the ER because the Mike theory didn't go as planned? The injuries differed from the initial witness reports. It may explain their urgency and maybe to hide chemical residue. Well, I think it's even simpler than that. I mean, if they're gonna monkey around with the body at all in any capacity, then you've got to clear the room. Like, you can't have people milling around waiting for Aunt Cindy to get her, broken ankle X-rayed. Go on, get out there. We'll be with you in a little bit. I mean, so I get it from that perspective. But yeah, I think there was a surprise. I'm glad Candace picked up today on the chest wound thing. That's something that I've seen people talking about, and it's weird. Like, you don't have, and I think she played 3 or 4 people. There are like 10 that I've seen that go on TV and talk about this massive gaping chest wound, and they describe what the blood looked like coming out of the chest wound. I'm like, and if you look, I'm gonna pull your comment down just so I can show you here. Hold on, where am I? If you look, his necklace was right here. It was like hanging out right here. Well, guess what's right below here? Your heart. That's where your heart is. One guy said he got shot right in the heart, meaning right where his necklace was hanging out. And I'll be the first to tell you, if he'd have taken a shot there, or if he'd have had a wound there, and they said that the bullet hit the sternum and hit the heart and then went in and hit the liver or lungs or whatever, I might have believed there was no exit wound. I mean, I probably have been like, yeah, I mean, makes sense. Makes sense. But when you get shot here, plan's over, boys. You screwed up. I love you, but I can't handle this Tetris music you have going on now. And then don't watch the intro. Remember correctly, you said CMW had several other photos of Charlie being hauled out. Do any of them show the necklace in any clearer detail? I want to see or be told what the break looks like. I don't. Let me look real quick. I don't think it has the necklace in it. No, I only have one that's not public, and it does not have the necklace in it. I don't think. Let me zoom in a little bit. No, it does not have the necklace in it that I can see. Yeah, no. If I show this, it's going to have to be on X or Rumble, because YouTube would have a panic attack. I mean, an absolute panic attack. Very early on in the investigation, they were allowing people to show images of the wounds. Not anymore. You can't even show his hand without it being blurred out. I got dinged for showing his hand one time, and I was like, all right, I get it. I get it. You guys don't want us solving the case. Candace and Baron Bob, Wonder Twins activate. Who's Bob? Who's Bob? I thought Candace was on fire today. She had a great show. Fantastic show. Good evening, Baron. I thought Candace's battle bun was scary. It's got nothing on her baby battle bun. It's terrifying. Go, Max. Candace said so. Christ is king. Indeed. Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, she made a comment about, it might just be because I'm pregnant. I said, whoa, you can't say that. That's not public knowledge. I was like, that's the worst kept secret in the world, right? Everyone knows. I read about it everywhere I look. Both your podcast and Candace's podcast should be mandatory listening for TPUSA. I think for a lot of them it is. Listen from the beginning so they don't have to lie every day. God bless the Armstrong family. Thank you for that. That I think for many of the TPUSA Fed sloppers, they do listen every day. Number one fan from Racine, Wisconsin. Christ is king indeed. Oh man, the conspiracy theorists are going to go crazy, Jenny. You have no idea how many emails and messages I get about Racine, Wisconsin. Apparently there's some kind of, I don't even know what it is, some sort of conspiracy about Racine. Mabu, you and George have something in common. Neither of you pull out of the garage. Well, I'm not going to comment on that. What up, my B? What up, my P? Philip. His name's Philip. That's why I said that. Baron got a jury questionnaire in the mail this weekend. When asked if I've served before, I said every Tuesday and Saturday. I can't wait. No, I'm not on Saturday. You mean Tuesday and Friday? Oh, every day but Tuesday and Saturday. Oh, I see. Every day but Tuesday and Saturday. So that's it. Okay, I see what you're saying. So you serve on the jury here for all the regular shows and the member show. You take off Tuesday and Saturday. Yes, that's right. You're well. We need good people on juries. Too many times you get a panel full of duds. I'm convinced Erica did everything she could to get Charlie killed, but wasn't involved in planning it. I mean, it's an opinion. No, I don't think that's crazy, Edge, starting early, so there's time for an answer regarding Brady. What about evidence that's been lost, tainted, or destroyed? Defendant recourse, court punishment? Yeah, you could argue for what's called a spoliation charge in that situation. You basically ask the judge to tell the jury if this evidence had been present, it would have been, you are allowed to conclude that it would have been favorable to the non-losing party and that it should benefit them. So, for example, if the state is in possession of a gun, allegedly, or a knife's probably better, a knife to commit a murder, and then they lose it. The defense can't test it for fingerprints and type of blood that was on it, the serration pattern or whatever. The defense could ask the judge, could you give a spoliation charge to the jury that had the knife been available, they can reasonably conclude it would have benefited us. And those are usually pretty powerful charges. Hey, my baroni dog and Pod Hub. I'm a harmless 62-year-old married for nearly 36 years. Please wish your number one fan from Georgia, UGA, happy birthday today. Been with you since Google Trends. Love you. Christ is King. K, happy birthday. Woof, woof, woof. Whatever you dogs say. Whatever it is you guys say there in Athens. Shirts 4 to 6, Baronisms. Org. Go Max, number one fan shirts are today. You are love Adidas. I love RBP. And I don't know what any of that means. NK Green, get a daisy, please. Thank you. Okay, I hope someone understands that. Nurse Casey, do you understand anything on the screen? I hope you do. I don't give a damn. Who sent your humble host a care package, by the way? Who sent your humble host a care package? I did go to the P.O. box today. There was a lot of really cool stuff in there, actually. I can't do mail time right. But I will for the member show. We'll go through it. I bet baby number 5 is a Charlie namesake, and our principal asks our B to be the godfather. Well, that would be wild. Picture it. George Farmer Jr. baptized while our humble host drops wisdom with his mass vans, minus the mob vibes. I think someone today recognized me based on the vans, because I walked past a guy and I saw him do a double take, and he looked right down at my shoes, and he looked back up and he walked off. And I wanted to say, is it the vans? The vans are that hot? Wasn't my mass vans. Yeah, I'm excited for her, man. I love life. I love when people have babies. I think babies are the best. The love of money is the root of all evil. All sorts of evil. Christ is king indeed. Good there. Who shot CK will always be muddled. Well, if he was even shot. The defense team is uncommitted. Otherwise, they would reach out to you and others for your research. They're simply ignoring the obvious. Well, 2 ways to look at that. One is that it might be premature. Well, 3 ways. One is it might be premature. 2, they might feel like in reaching out, they would shut off our investigation. Like we would feel like our investigation was tainted, and maybe they're watching what we're doing and learning, and they don't want to alter the course of our investigation. I guess corollary to that is, what do they think we have that we're not put out on YouTube yet? I mean, granted, I do have a lot that I haven't put out on YouTube, but they don't know that. But finally, it's just not time necessarily. They're still fighting pretrial battles. Closer to the trial, I don't know. Maybe they will. Blakey Owens, Farmer Baby, 2026, since BN is the number one fan. I'm just glad it's not a girl. Not that I don't love girl babies. That's not the point. I'm afraid if it was a girl, she would have so much trouble resisting the urge to do a Sawface reference. Like whatever Sawface's nemesis was. Maybe there's a boy that's Sawface's nemesis. My wife just underwent emergency retina surgery. She's still loyal to the Baron, number one fan from Tulare County, California. Christ is king. Long live your show. Yeah, I'd be scared. My wife has terrible eyes. I'd be scared if she could see better. She'd be all of a sudden she'd be like, I don't like you anymore. You look better blurry, sir. You look better blurry. When should we expect the trial? The kid is a sitting duck. What are we? We're in June 22nd. I think you could probably expect a trial before fall of 27. I think summer of 27 would probably be a good guess. a year or so from now, maybe fall of 27. If I had to guess, I mean, maybe they're really expeditious out there, but I doubt it. I doubt it. I mentioned the trees, and you said you didn't think they would have thought that far ahead. Now we're going to talk about a law they passed. I don't know what you're talking about, the trees. Were you the one that said they cut some trees down or something? Is that you? If so, I don't recall the conversation. Bubba Baron, Blake is as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. I say that all the time. Did you get that from me? Because if not, that's crazy. I say that all the time. I stole it from Dan Rather. It's time to start holding these folks accountable. Shout out to my kids, Aniston and Lincoln, who love your show. Christ is King indeed. Are you from Alabama? Because there's two towns in Alabama pretty close to each other called Aniston and Lincoln. They're both kind of over by Talladega. That's weird. Aniston and Lincoln. I mean, they're right there next to each other. Lincoln's where the Honda plant is. And where the Talladega 500 is run. I think it's actually run in Lincoln, not Talladega. And Aniston's just up the road. But shout out Aniston. Know you have sister cities in Alabama. Christ is King indeed. Hi, Brand. Frank Turek was at Prestonwood Church in Texas on June 14th, trashing Candace. Looks like Rob McCoy and Frank are terrified since they tell the congregation they're sinning if they watch her. That is so weird. We go to the churches we have gone to for the last 15 years, even the one we went to before that. I cannot imagine showing up and hearing a sermon about podcasting. Like I don't know that my priest knows what I do for a living. Maybe he does. I don't know. I have no idea. No idea. I vote Barron fill in for Candace's maternity leave. Oh, she had Ian last time. Maybe he'll do it. No, thank you. That's very kind of you. Love this show, my B. Always keeping it real. I'm doing my best out here. Doing my best out here. Hi from Miranda. Love your show. Wellington, Miranda. Let me tell you a quick Miranda story. I got time. When I was on the radio, this woman called in. She was wild. She was nuts. And she called in as Miranda from Maplesville. Maplesville was a little town 45 minutes outside of town. And she called in and she was funny. She talked about a goat she had named Blossom. And you could hear the goat in the background. And she said, I'm playing with then she'd start playing an organ. And she's like, I'm playing with my organ. And she was nuts. She said all kinds of crazy stuff. And I always tried to figure out who she was. This went on for years. 2-3 years, this lady's calling. I cannot figure out for the life of me who this lady is. I even talked to the mayor of Maplesville. It's a small town, a few hundred people. And I asked him, is there anyone in town named Miranda? He's like, I don't know. I was like, anybody that owns a goat? He goes, buddy, they all own a goat. I thought that was funny. And so I couldn't figure out who this woman was. I'm at a friend of mine is hosting a wedding for his daughter. She's getting married. It's at a little barn out in a little town called Luverne, Alabama. We're all in Luverne, and there's a barn, and we're hoeing down at the end of the night, having a good time. And this woman walks up to me, and she says, hey there, I'm Miranda. And I was like, what? Her name, in fact, was not Miranda. I knew exactly who she was. We ended up talking the whole night. She held my little baby, who's now 7, so I guess it was 7 years ago. She held my little baby all night. Actually, it was my 5-year-old, I think. I can't remember which one. Maybe my 5 or 7-year-old. But, man, what a wild, wild, wild story that was. So every time I see the word Miranda, I think of Miranda from Maplesville. Watched well over 50 TikTok videos of Charlie Kirk. The weekend went back today, and only around 10 in watch history are they actively scrubbing videos still, and why? Probably. Someone told me they've taken all his old tweets down, but I haven't gone back and looked. They don't want you to know what Charlie used to say. Missed the last few shows for the first time in dang near 8 months due to a family camping trip, and boy, have I missed y'all. Happy belated Father's Day, Baron, and all you other high IQ dads out there. ACSW, we've missed you. We've noticed. We felt the missing. We felt you missing. Welcome home. Baron, wish do show about support for Alberta, Canada. Okay. I love Alberta, Canada. Everybody support Alberta. We need Alberta out there. Hi, since Charlie Kirk's clothes are MIA or Aiken. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Found interesting CO today said Harpole offered Sean his man bag with Charlie Kirk blood on it as a gift to display in his studio. PTN easily transfers to fabric by physical contact. Well, we don't know that that wasn't a setup either. Maybe it wasn't his man bag at all. It was a lookalike. I don't know. Baron, where did, insert superlative, Mikey go? Is he pondering his humble host's advice as to the said leg race to speaking the truth? Who dat? Who dare? Sing Mikey. Your thoughts. He's shown up a little bit. He started poking his head back out in public a little more. He was with Eric at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, for example. I don't know why, but he was there. Not sure what he was doing. Thank you. Happy first Father's Day as a father recently promoted to grandfather, the most expensive promotion one receives. But you humbly earned it and will be remembered far, that and your church vans next century. I'll be remembered far that. Yeah, except I'm a more far. But thank you, Dom. Very kind of you. Young mom and first time super chat. I've been an avid listener since day one. I admire your dedication to finding the truth as well as your skill with words. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. Well, thank you. That's very kind. Avid listener since day one. I admire your dedication. Do you think TR got caught with underage stuff on his computer? And he agreed to go to prison for the murder of Charlie Kirk instead? Do you think they're going to unalive him? That's why he turned himself in? I've long speculated that either he or his roommate were into weird things on the computer, and that inevitably, nothing you do on your computer is secret. So that inevitably would have led to landing on someone's radar. And that's a fine way to recruit patsies, is to find people doing that, and then you own them, because nobody wants to go to prison for that. So I don't know, man. It's something I've thought about. I do think they were going to unalive him. I think that was the plan, is to kill him. That's why he was searching for a place, Last night, the Blake Neff cackle scene sent me. Oh, you talking about the macaw? I had my baby asleep on my chest, and it was so hard muffling my laughter so I wouldn't wake her. Too funny. Well, Coach Katie, you blame Blake. Don't blame me. Don't blame your humble host. I didn't cackle. I don't cackle. I don't even know how to cackle. The Baron, how can they not allow Twiggs to testify in person? It's not that they're not allowing him. It's that they're not allowing the subpoena. I think for the trial, obviously, they'll have to, but the damage is already done. But your system of government sucks when you have to sit in a corner with your fingers crossed, hoping that 9 politically connected lawyers in black dresses who were hired by government to judge government will actually protect your rights. Yeah, that's a good point, Rick Parker. That really goes for all of our rights. It's not 9. We just need 5. It's actually worse than that. It's only 5. It's a shame how corrupt people can get. So glad people are waking up. Keep up the great work. Christ is king indeed. Thank you, Susie Q. Could the vehicle behind Charlie have been a very large speaker in the back of it? Could the vehicle behind Charlie have a very large speaker in the back of it? It opens right before you hear the bang and closes right after. I believe it made a fake gunshot sound. Microphone theory, a go. Go Max. Christ is king indeed. I don't know about that. Sign in my lawyer friend's office. You have the right to remain silent. Use it. Yeah. So I ran I used to work at a radio station at free advertising. So I was able to run a series of ads. You know, it didn't cost me anything. And it was a website. I don't want to say the website name, but the ad was basically like, listen, if you get pulled over, if a police officer encounters you, don't say a word. Tell them you want to talk to your lawyer. And it was actually a friend of mine. I was referring everything over to him. But yeah, and it was actually pretty successful. I heard the police didn't like it when it ran. They heard it and they were like, oh, why are you telling everybody not to say anything? Like, 'cause it never works in their favor. Hey, Baron, what do you think about the mic explosion cauterizing chest wound, frag exiting neck, and fragment looping back? Seems logical to me. Sus, they won't bring Twiggs in person. Very odd, Go Max. I don't think there's a chest wound. In fact, let me pull that picture back up. I think the picture I just looked at has his full chest on it. That's most of it. I don't think there's a chest wound. If there is, it's not dead center. So I don't think that's right. But thank you. Maybe just me, but Judge looks like Colvet ilk. You mean he's fancy? You mean he's fancy, might wear makeup? Too bad Sean Ryan declined BH bag with Charlie's blood on it. That could have been tested for the residue, right? Yeah, maybe. Christ is king indeed. Potentially. That's my alter ego when I go out and guys ask me my name. It's Miranda. Last name, Wrights. Now go to Memphis. Get to Memphis for your sandwich. It's delicious. Go Max my B. I need to get over there. I need to get over there. Mrs. Coleman and I just need to wake up one morning and drive over there for lunch. It'd be great. It's on this side of Memphis, too. I don't have to go all the way into town. I looked it up. In Utah, are family jail cells always recorded? Are any visits private? And can those recordings become public later? Thanks. I don't know. I would assume they are. But I don't know. You should investigate that church that runs Utah. Oh, the Mormon church? I was like, what church are you talking? I thought like some super Protestant church. Mega church. What about it? I saw Tucker's thing where he talked or the preview for his new series he's doing where he talked about how much money they had. And I saw that Nathan Apfel interview where he said that I think they had enough money they could run their church in perpetuity with the amount of money they had. Edge, I feel like Utah is making up rules as we go. Is this allowed? Apparently. Unfortunately, it looks like it. Danny, almost 300,000 for the Armstrong family. Is that true? Let me look at this. It was 282 last time I looked. $296,000. You guys are unbelievable. That's the only thing I can say. You're unbelievable. If you weren't here last night for the message from his wife, go back to yesterday's show. I did timestamp it in the description. It's beautiful. Beautiful. She's very thankful. Edge, Danks was just covering the preliminary issues like you. Why did YouTube and X shut him down? I plead the fifth. On that one. I did talk to him about it, but I don't know what he wants me to share. I think we figured it out, and I think he can correct it. Understood Lance ruling. Dom, I don't give a Dom. Understood Lance ruling was for prelims, that Lance can't be subpoenaed or only for the July preliminary hearing probable cause stage, but that it does not prevent live subpoenas of the actual trial. In fact, it can't. Crawford versus Washington is very, very strict. In fact, I think Scalia wrote that, if I'm not mistaken, and he said something about confrontation means confrontation. In other words, there's no substitute for the right to confront a witness. You have the right to confront the witnesses against you. You have the right to present your own witnesses. Like you cannot stop someone from confronting a witness by saying, they're not here. We're going to use a statement instead. But that's at trial. So yeah, that you are correct. So glad you were, when you stood up, you the man. B, Christ is king. You think I do this show without pants on? I've got pants. I wear pants in the office. I wear pants. Story time. Today I was telling my husband how it was such a blessing I found you, to which he replies, you were watching Candace and Baron autoplayed as the next video. Most people call that an algorithm. Well, it's a blessing. A blessing, a blessed algorithm. Sounds like YouTube's got it right. I lost my home because of my California bills. In July, it's 20 years. No money for another brain surgery. Please keep helping Jeff's family. Jesus loves you. Holy mackerel, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Evans. Wow, I will pray for you. That is devastating. Oh, because of my cancer bills, not California bills. I saw that CA and I thought California. Like, what's a California bill? 20 years. Wow. Well, Jesus loves you more. Well, no, he doesn't. I shouldn't say that. He loves you the same as he loves everybody. They're going to convict Tyler Robinson no matter what. If they need to bend the rules or even break the rules, they will do it. How dare we notice it? Moon Goddess, I fear you are onto something. Edge, I saw Twiggs info on Dom's channel. She's tipsy over the Twiggs. Oh, man. She did like a 4-part, 16-hour series on the Twiggs. Like, I know what brand of toothpaste the little sister uses. She's got it all. They use Tom's. No, non-fluoride. Part 2 to algorithm story. I responded, okay, nerd. That's a good response. Christ is king indeed, Cameron. You let him have it. Let him have it. But Baron, good morning from Brisbane. Love your show. Love your comment, Helen Kelly. Wonder if anyone ever jokingly called you Helen Keller. Not Baron throwing shade with, he may be in need of Clearasil. Well, he might. Note to the grand jury, do not get on our host bad side. Love you, B. Christ is king indeed. Well, yeah. I just call it like I see it, you know? I see a lot. I don't always comment on it. I notice. I'm a noticer. They'll hire the jury like the judge and the defense attorney. Oh, I hope not. I mean, we got to have a fair jury, right? And I wonder if the Twiggs family traveled like that before September 2025. Everything comes out. People need to be held accountable for CK unalive. I don't know their travel history before. I guess we could try to find it. I just know what they post to Facebook. It's public. Not like I'm secret information or something. All this is public. TR needs a good non-Zionist Jewish lawyer. Yes, I'm from New York. Can you imagine that? Oh, the irony. I don't think his lawyers are Zionists, are they? Something. Of course, that's probably her married. I don't know that he doesn't already have some of it. How's it allowed for the Farnsworth family attorney to be on TR defense team? Did he choose his own defense team? Why is this not being discussed more? So I don't think it's the Farnsworth attorney. I think it's a Farnsworth cousin who is an attorney who's on the defense team. But here's the way I look at this. There are 400 million Farnsworths in the Western United States. I've learned that through studying this case. Every third person in Utah, every other person in Arizona, Farnsworth. So I think we don't know how close they are. They may not have ever spoken. May not be able to pick them out of a lineup. I don't know that. I don't know the answer. Thank you. Christ is King. Well, thank you. Christ is King indeed, Steph. Thank you. Charlie turned 30 the year prior. Candace has mentioned this when she touched on Freud. After 30, they recruit you. How could it be possible that Charlie was recruited and he denied? Too much was shown to him. Who is they? Who recruits after 30? This is something I need to know. Because I'm 46 and I've never been recruited. Does that mean I'm a dud? Don't get Coleman. He's a dud. We don't want him on our team. Make him be the last guy on the playground picked. I'm standing there going, is anyone going to recruit me? Good guys, bad guys, anyone over here? We play Texas Hold'em, spades, and craps for ramen, Little Debbie's, and phone time in jail, counselor. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Is back, baby. I've been worried about you, sir. Texas Hold'em, spades, and craps. Fair enough. For ramen, Little Debbie's, and phone time in jail. Yeah, okay. Well, that's what Tyler was doing. He was playing craps all day. How do you get... My kids came in today and wanted a deck of cards. I've got a zillion decks of cards back here. I mean, a lot. Like, it's embarrassing how many decks of cards we have. New cards. Like, because if you give a deck card to kids, they're basically worthless in an hour. They're not going to survive the night, I promise you. And so, you know, when I find them on sale, I'll get like 25 decks at a time or whatever. And card games are fun. I like card games. But he came in and he asked for it. And then I was working, prepping for the show. And then I went out there a little bit later and they're playing euchre. I don't know if any of you guys are in the Midwest and know what euchre is, but they're playing euchre. And one side was getting smoked. Not going to say which side. Breakfast for dinner. It was great. That is all. Boy, isn't that like a treat? That's like vacation food right there. You go on vacation, you eat breakfast for dinner. They make new laws, change evidence, lie, unbelievable links these people will go to for Fed slop. Now I'll post starving liars. I want to scream. You rock, though, Baron, Kristen. Critter? I don't disagree with anything you said, including that I rock. Hey, B, I thought I was about to snag gentleman number 4 staring at my high IQ shirt, but apparently I had a spaghetti stain from lunch on it. It's still a dude magnet. Thanks for making great merch. That's amazing. Keep up the good work. Single ladies, apparently your way to meet men is to buy more merch. RealBaronPodcast.com. We got some new merch up, by the way. I don't know if you guys were here last night. I showed the new merch stuff. There's probably 10 new items up in the last couple of weeks. So if you've not looked in a while, go to RealBaronPodcast.com, click the merch button, slide down, click view all, and you'll see it all. There's a whole bunch of new stuff up. Nurse Casey's been working hard. And wash it. Wash your merch. Don't walk around with spaghetti stains. The floater spinning in the toilet is saying hit the like and subscribe. Oh. Talking about reading the tea leaves? I'm glad you knew what I was talking about. Only way he wasn't Mirandized 6 p.m. on the 11th is if they knew the Fed plan and knew it didn't matter what he said. Hi, Baron. My mom watches your shows and she loves your shows. Wow. Well, thank you. It was very kind of you. I love your mom. Not that way. Twiggs family's been paid off. Struggling people who come into large amounts of money have no spending discretion. They go hog wild, which is what they're doing. Love your show. Christ is king indeed. Allegedly, in your opinion. I've seen it with my own 2 peepers, unfortunately. People get a raise. It's funny. I had this conversation with somebody not terribly long ago. They were getting a raise. And I said, ooh, now you'll be able to save money. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, I used to make 1/3 of what I make. And I spend every dollar then. I spend every dollar now. I'll spend every dollar when I get the raise. I'm like, but you recognize the problem. What are you doing? Stop. I can't help myself. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend it all. Yeah. Some people. Christ is king indeed. Evidence. What about gunshot residue tests on TR, Pew, Roof? Can't defense obtain phone records for additional texts? I don't know. You know what question I've had? Did they take Erica's phone? Andrew's phone? Mikey McCoy? Dan Flood? Frank Turek? Brian Harpole? Rick Cutler? Did they take any of their phones and examine them? Because if not, why not? Battle Bun is having a baby. Oh, man, you could have added an extra B there for extra alliteration. Battle Bun's a baby boy. Making it, she has a pair bigger than AK and Blake. Christ is King indeed. Much love to G Daddy B, family and jury. High IQ humor indeed. Thank you, K's Corner, Farm Chaos. Hi B, love the high IQ hoodies, but for summer, could you model RBP merch? Grand jury sticker idea is great. Maybe a Baronism sticker pack too. Thanks. Christ is King indeed. Could I model merch? I do on some of the member shows. Are you a member? Yeah, you are. I do on some of the member shows. I'll wear some stuff every now and then. I think I wore a RBP long sleeve tee a few weeks ago. And I know I wore that purple RBP hoodie not long ago. That purple hoodie's tough. That's a cool color. That's a really cool purple. Nicolene Peck. I have her parenting books. What? She has parenting books? No, stop it. I think that's a different Nicolene Peck, right? Yeah, I think it's a different Nicolene Peck. What are the odds there's two? Because those are some weird names, right? I mean, maybe Peck's not so weird. I went to high school with some Pecks. A brother and a sister. And then there's Gregory Peck, right? Actor. But Nicolene, that's not the most common name. I think it's a different one. Maybe not. Not me thinking you'd be in shorts. Why would I be in shorts? Who wears shorts? Why would I be in shorts? You have any idea how cold I keep it in here when I podcast? I wear shorts when I work out. Sometimes. Actually, this is a true story. When I went to Phoenix, when was that? Last week? We worked out on Saturday morning. I went with a bunch of guys that do F3. I've never done it before. I showed up. I got the silly nickname. And I did the workout. Workout was cool. It was actually a cool workout. Had some running and I don't know, some stuff with a cinder block, some squatting, some stepping around, carrying it overhead. It was a cool workout though. But I forgot my shorts. Actually, I had the black version of these pants. These are not sweatpants. They're like cotton joggers, but they're not cool. Do you know how hot it is in Phoenix? They always tell you it's a dry heat. It is not a dry heat. It is the hottest heat imaginable. It is blast furnace heat. When the wind blows, it's somehow hotter. I don't understand that. You feel okay. It's oppressive. You feel like you're dying, but it's not insufferable until you get a little breeze and it's like a hot blast. And then you got to kind of shield yourself from it. And so you walk around everywhere like this the whole time. It's awful. But yeah, I had to work out in pants in that oppressive heat. It was bad. I was regretting that. How can prosecutors, cops withhold evidence? Did they withhold evidence? You're talking about the, so two things here. When you say withhold evidence, it's one thing to not share it with us. It's one thing to take the camera footage and not release it to us. It's another thing entirely to not share it with the defendant. I don't think they're doing that. I don't think. How a bill works. Schoolhouse Rock a la Bubba Baron. Yeah, but Schoolhouse Rock really butters it down quite a bit. But thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. Baby, my hero on getting the election law passed in Alabama. Are others modeling your legislation in other states? Is there a way to hook up with any? Would love to support this in Florida and elsewhere. Yeah, what was the name of that place? There was an organization that asked us to do it. But yeah, we got it passed in Alabama, and then it passed like 85-15 when it went to a vote. I mean, overwhelmingly, people don't want non-citizens voting in their election. What was it? Remember the name of the group? Citizen Only Voting Amendment was the name of it. I can't remember the group that was pushing it though. Anyway, look it up. Yeah, there's a group out there pushing it, and they'll even give you a little money to help pay for a lobbyist and some expenses and stuff. Yeah. You got to kind of help raise money with it, but not impossible. Not impossible. Lance T, a real person. I think so. My sister's name is Erica. Has ice blue eyes, did pageants, a liar, and a psycho. Talk about your sister that way? She's in jail now. Her BS finally caught up with her. Oh. She's the reason I couldn't trust EK from the beginning. Well, don't hold every person named Erica. Don't hold your sister against them. That's quite the coincidence, though. You should write a story about that. I'd watch that. I feel like this is the only case that they've done everything opposite of what is required by law. How is the judge even allowing the case to move forward with all this evidence being withheld? It's weird to me. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm late. Went to visit my 90-year-old neighbor, listening at 1.5x. Apparently, you were late too, Bear. Increase Coleman going max. Yeah, RIP is the real Increase podcast. The RIP. I don't think I was late, was I? No, I wasn't late. I hit the button with 44 seconds to spare. I remember it. I was not late. I take offense to that. I am prompt. I'm timely. What's up, my B? I was so on time that I forgot to light up the on-air sign. What's up, my B? Just wanted to say that Daisy's voice sounds suspiciously familiar. Been thinking this the last few weeks when she pops in. Love you both. Who she sound like? Is there something I need to know? AK posting for CK on X, reminiscent of I Am Charlie Kirkrush, similar to I Am Charlie from Charlie Hebdo in France. Both exploited online radicalization. The slogans hit a pre-packaged narrative. Yeah, I guess. I got something we're going to play this week. It's a video of Andrew Colvett before Charlie passed. There's just too many weird things in this group, guys. It's something weird. We'll talk about, I don't know if it'll be Wednesday or Thursday, but we're going to play it this week. It's just too much weirdness. Thoughts why no plea yet from TR? Strategy. Well, he hadn't had an opportunity to plea. They haven't even had a preliminary hearing. You got to have a preliminary hearing to determine whether there's even sufficient evidence for you to require to put in a plea. I mean, what if the judge bounces it, but you've already pled out? That's the reason. I'm curious in regarding the markings on CK's hand. Might that be supportive evidence in the Mike theory? Seems worthy to review, possibly. Sure. Christ is king indeed. Blue-eyed EMT, you better watch out. Erica's sister over there is going to think you're a psycho. I just call it like I see it, Erica's sister. Seems like we solved the case. Now they know what to exclude from evidence. There were so many people involved. It's a smack in our faces. We lost. IMO. I'm not sure about that. I have a very strong urge to reply to everyone on X now with stop attacking a pregnant woman. Or does that only work for widows? I think it only works for widows that they like. Only works for widows. It's a tactic they deploy when they want to. Be like me. Like, subscribe, and share, everyone. Oh, have we gotten the likes up yet? That was a pathetic attempt, guys. It's better. It's better. We've gone from 1/3 to 2/3. The rest of you slackers, pick up the pace. But it's okay. I'm not calling you out. And thanks, B. Appreciate all you do. Well, thank you, Katie Weiling out. Isn't Mitt and BB friends? Explains why Charlie was in Utah when this happened. I just don't see a fair and honest trial for Tyler. It's just criminal what they can do and done. So to answer your first question, I believe they are friends. I don't know that it explains why Charlie was in Utah when it happened. Maybe. I mean, I don't see a fair and honest trial for Tyler. I am getting there myself, but we'll find. Let's see how the judge rules. Did you get that paperwork back from a few weeks ago? You're waiting on from a lawyer. Not yet. And we were told. Oh, Daisy jumped off, so I can't. I want to say we were told the person was going to be out of town till like the 26th now. So I guess they're taking this week off or something. They don't want to turn it over, I promise. Why we asked for it. We don't ask for stuff that we don't need. Thank you for the prayers last night. My friend's fiance is with God now after his fall and head injury. Oh, that is tough. That is tough. I'm sorry to hear that. And still continue to pray for the repose of his soul and for your friend's fiance or your friend and his family. That sounds terrible. Sorry to hear that. How did you miss the likelihood of explosive residue captured in the blood and on the bag? Close to ground, dig up. Yeah? Let me look at that picture one more time. Let me see where that bag was relative to it. Of course, I don't know where it was in the car. So in this picture, the bag is not near the blood. But again, I don't know where it was in the, well, maybe a little. I don't know where it was in the car, though. Maybe his hands had blood all over him and getting in and out of the bag. I don't know. There was a Senator Farnsworth in the picture you showed the other night. Maybe he's involved in the new state law. Christ is king indeed. No, because the picture I showed the other night was Arizona Senate Republicans. This law we're talking about today was in Utah. So, but I don't doubt there's a Farnsworth somewhere working in the Utah Senate. I'm telling you, there are Farnsworths everywhere. As an owner of a small jewelry company, I can't fathom how the charms stayed on CK's necklace once the chain broke. They would have slid down and out of his shirt with how the chain broke and flew. So what it looked like to me was the clasp. You know, as a jewelry owner, you'll understand this. You know, when you're wearing a necklace that has a clasp on it, it starts in the back, but before long, it's down all day. You have to keep doing this thing and moving the clasp back. I think what it looks like happened was the clasp had migrated all the way down towards the pendant, towards the cross. And then when it broke from down there and whipped out. And then the force of it going back pulled the necklace back up, but it got caught in his shirt. The charm got caught in the shirt. So you had like 30 inches of woo, woo, whooping around over here, woo, woo, woo. But the charm was like stuck in his shirt doing this number like this. And then when he fell to the ground, that charm would have stayed locked in here. I don't think there was more than one charm on the necklace. And then when they're carrying them off, you can see the charm kind of waving like this number in the background. You can see not the charm, the necklace, the chain sort of doing this thing. So we went woo, woo, zoop, zoop. And that's how it stayed in. It's pretty simple. Mrs. Armstrong is entitled to a widow's pension from Social Security along with her benefits for her children. I'm a widow and pray she'll be able to stay home with her children. Christ is king indeed. I believe that's correct. You can begin to collect reduced survivor's benefit as early as age 60 or 50 if you have a disability. You're caring for a qualified child of the decedent who is under the age of 16. There's no minimum age requirement to receive the benefits. In this case, you'll receive 75% of the deceased's benefit. He was young, though. I don't think, again, they used to send us these every couple of 3 years. You guys remember this? You get a letter in the mail. It's from Social Security and say, hey, if, in retirement, you can expect to receive $1,612.72 a month. But we think we're going to run out of money, so we're going to reduce that by 35%. So you can receive $1,214.12. They used to send you that in the mail every few years. I haven't seen one of those in years. I bet it's been 10 years since I've gotten one of those, maybe longer. I don't know where those went. But, when you're young, your benefit isn't very big. You got to kind of build up that credit over time. So I don't know what that benefit would be. And if it's 75% of that, I mean, every little bit helps when you're a widow. I'm not suggesting otherwise. But I don't think it would be like something that she could live off of. I think it'd be something that would be just supplemental. But yeah, good call. I hadn't even considered that. Christ is king indeed. Yea, Baron, it beggars belief that a national treasure in his own country is denied real justice. Your show's outstanding. Commentary is hilarious. Oh. I agree with you that it's terrifying that anyone in the country would be denied real justice. Yee. Life with the 30-06 video makes RBP. Oh, was that the guy shooting? Okay. Was that the guy shooting the ting, 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 ting? The pans? Funny how the 30-06 is right below the 50 COW every time. Great evidence. Go Max. Christ is king indeed. I think everyone on the jury should be required to watch that video. Yee life. I'm going to have to look that up. It was just recommended to me. You know why? Because I've watched so many videos of 30-06s shooting things that I still get recommended 30-06 videos all the time. If there's a 30-06 in a video, I get it. They show it to me. That's funny. I bet I have to scroll past those a lot. I don't know why I clicked on that today. Because I thought, wow, cast iron skillets, huh? And there's some dummy in the back named Bill or Bob or something. And the goal is can we kill Bob through the cast iron skillets? They've done baking sheets. I think it went through 20 baking sheets. 3 inches of neck muscle. You see, guys? Everyone should be required to watch those. I wish I could show them. YouTube freaks out when you show the views. The reason gun channels can do it is they dedicate themselves and they declare that that's what they are, and they get special treatment from YouTube, but they also don't sell very much advertising because they're that type of channel. You think Charlie allowed himself to go to expose the truth behind our greatest ally? We adore you, maybe. No, I don't think Charlie. I mean, that's essentially saying he committed self-inflicted. No. Hi, Baron. Knowing the conclusion of the exploding mic theory, knowing Charlie having broken vertebrae breaks my heart. Mm-hmm. The broken vertebrae theory is really, to me, a critical part of this story. Because it is so devastating, the consequences of that. Dark. Baron, if you're BB Baron, you're the man. David reminded that Candace is asking about all info related to Road, Mike, and Butch. Thanks for all you do. I could share some stuff with her tomorrow. The problem on today is I was working on my show all day. I didn't really have time to dig through old stuff and send it out. I think she would be especially interested in the imprint of what to me looks very obviously like a Rode mic in his pocket. I just don't know how you can conclude that's something else. Hope you check out in spare time Carl Stefanovic show and Two Worlds Collide podcast from Land Down Under. Golden for other linked information. Duly noted. Thank you. Baron, do you think it was the transmitter that blew? Colin and Steve have photos of the burn marks at his belt line. Explained his neck wound also. Why would he have a transmitter on his belt line? Which mic would require a transmitter on his belt line? Because the Rode mic, you wouldn't have your transmitter on you. That transmitter would be near the equipment, right? I don't know. I don't know what other transmitter he would have on him. Because he was using a wired SM58 mic for a handheld. The Rode mic, you wouldn't put a transmitter on you down there. I don't know. I'll be referring to you as Increase Coleman henceforth. Christ is King. Yes, the RIP, the Real Increase Podcast. Tatum rips on Candace for the mic theory, saying there would be a hole in Charlie's shirt. Why doesn't he rip on the witness saying he was shot in the heart? There would be a hole in the shirt. Plus, has he seen the shirt? Well, we've all seen the shirt. I mean, we've seen slow motion video of the shirt. I've seen 1,000 different replays of that, unfortunately. I think I can confidently say there's no hole where the mic was. There's no hole in the middle of his shirt. The question I have is this is the left. Again, I don't know if we're mirrored or which side, but just this is my left side. When that charm came up or whatever it was that brought his shirt up, it looked to me like there was a hole when that thing came back down. That to me definitively rules out any possibility of a bullet. So I think his shirt would be critical evidence. Do you think Charlie allowed himself to go sacrificially in order to... No, I don't think so. We adore you. We adore you, Care Bear. Thank you. What about the bullet fragment? It always referred to the fragment, and that one fragment has been tested, but there's no exit wound. The whole bullet would be able to be recovered, fragmented or not. Well, I think that takes an overly simplistic view of how bullets fragment. If you look up bullet fragment x-rays, what you'll see is you'll get like a couple of medium-sized chunks or maybe one medium-sized chunk and then a whole bunch of little like small metallic pieces that are kind of interspersed in the muscle tissue and organ tissue. So I'm not sure that's the strongest argument we have. I've always thought BH's facial expression when behind the table after the bang was more of a "you idiots messed this up" type look than working a trauma code. Facial expressions were off. IMO. Christ is King indeed. I thought that especially about Rick Cutler. Rick Cutler rolled over and he was like, ew. Like, this isn't like, I almost had a smile like, oh, boys, what have you done? Edge, evidence, clothing of all in SUV, soil, chain, phones, metaglasses, mic remnants. There's so much that could help TR. Defense best get busy. Agreed. All that and more. If someone's claiming Racine, I'm claiming Mount Pleasant before it's gone. Now you can have it. You can have it. I don't know how many Mount Pleasanters we have here. Mount Pleasantonians, what do you guys call yourselves? I think I know just enough to get myself into trouble. No, don't we all? Wouldn't the surgeon be the one to shut this whole thing down if, when it goes to trial, assuming he wasn't paid off? Well, funny you should ask. We'll be showing you in the coming days some interesting things about the surgeon. What I think is interesting. I don't want to oversell it. I found it curious. He's supposed to be hit in the chest, divine intervention, maybe to get the open source investigation due to Fed slop instead of just accepted by all. Moon Goddess, what the hell are you doing? What's up with the threes? I'll allow it. My bro got a Miami Max t-shirt for Father's Day. He also went to the F1 in Miami to see Max. Christ is King. Go Max. Max is dope. Max is great. I'm a big Max fan. I was not a fan when he first came in because I was a Vettel fan and he kept ruining Vettel's races. But after a couple of years, I was like, I get it. If USA should be afraid. The Owens and Barons clan is growing. The future still be saved. Thank you, Shai. Pray for me, beautiful people. Please, beautiful people. Unspoken, pray for courage and strength to overcome. Matthew Harrison, you got it, brother. Prayers incoming. How does a microphone that has a charge operate? Is it by a gunshot or something else? I don't know what that means. How does a microphone that has a charge operate? I don't know what that means. You mean, how does it go off? I don't know. Like, how does it, assuming that's what happened? Listen to Tucker's new podcast on Super Churches. We'll explain everything about why they're doing that. Thanks for what you do, Baron. Christ is King. Indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Love your show, Bear. Do you think Erica is one of the masterminds in this or just a pawn? Will they throw her under the bus? Boy, if I knew the answer to that. That's one of the questions I asked on the member show. Was Erica involved in the planning, aware before it happened, or basically innocent and, or don't know? You'd have to watch the member show to find the answer because I don't remember it off the top of my head. But I think it was like 92% combined between planned and knew but didn't blow the whistle. It was brutal. Thanks. Live was cut from YouTube today discussing Israel. How do we force government to see the truth? Feels hopeless at times. Praying for justice to prevail. Christ is king always. Yeah, I talked to Danks about that. First, thank you for all you do. You and CO are a force to be reckoned with. Second, a while back, you mentioned you took something and believe it helped your eyesight. What was it again? Christ is king indeed. Let me just give a quick little disclaimer. I did take it. I do think it helped my eyesight. I don't remember the dosage. I barely remember how I took it. I think I was trying to clear some sinus infection or something, and I was like, put it on a toothpick and rubbed it up my nose and snorted. But I don't remember, so I'm not saying take it that way. I just don't remember. But it was called DMSO. So do your research. Talk to your doctor. Don't do anything on my account. I'm not recommending anything. You're asking me a question about something I'd done in my life. I'm just telling you what I did. But that's what it's called, DMSO. And there are a lot of people out there that say it's cured macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataracts. I don't know if it's true. You know, they use DMSO for spinal injuries in animals, though. And it works. It works. It apparently is a miracle thing. Research it. Black Blind Brief is horribly boring. Well, why would you say that? That's not. Didn't your mom tell you if you couldn't say something nice, don't say anything at all? Ralphie. That's not polite. It's not polite. He's doing his best. I don't know if he's horribly boring. I have watched probably 2 of his podcasts though. I wasn't bored. Do we know why the police were specifically looking for TR? If he turned himself in, wouldn't that indicate they were looking for him specifically? Why? That's interesting. I don't know the answer to that. Oh, because of the gun. I think they traced the gun back to the grandfather maybe or something. Or I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Mikey, we are here for you. Turn over a new leaf. Mikey. We're here, Mikey. We're here. Estamos aquí, Mikey. With my mom in ER with cardiac problems. Appreciate prayer. Number 1 fan from Lubbock, Texas. I don't know, man. Blake Bednar is from Lubbock, Texas. Maybe he's our number 1 fan. Depends on what week it is. Some days he hates me. I hope your mom feeling better. Cardiac problems. Wow. I hope she gets to feeling better. We'll pray for her. Notice Mikey McCoy is no longer on the TPUSA website, or did I miss him on there? Thanks for a good show. Was he ever on the website? I don't remember. Edge, based on Bray's heat signature, colorized video, and billowing shirt, something happened at the chest. It's not the pendant. What do you think? If not the pendant, what do you think? So I go to 3 options under the chest. I think there's only 3. And maybe there's a 4th, but I haven't thought of it. 1 is the Rode microphone, moved in such a way as to cause everything else to start moving. 2, it's the pendant, the necklace. 3, I guess there's 4 options. 3, it's something unknown that was strapped to Charlie's chest or stomach or somewhere in there that we're not aware of what it was. Or 4, it's some combination of 2 or more of those. I don't think it's a bullet to the neck. Like, Doesn't do that, right? Like, if this is a bullet, if my Burt's Bees here's a bullet, that we'll do it in slow motion. See if you guys can see what I'm talking. The bullet coming in. Counting or not counting gang violence? Oh, do slow motion. Sorry. And that just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. Something else is going on under that shirt. I'm telling you guys, something else is going on under that shirt. Article on Pitcher 4825, Salt Lake Tribune. Every bill she shepherded through the legislature in 2025 was passed without a single vote against it. She's a Democrat in a very Republican state. Wait a minute. Pitcher? She's a Democrat? I didn't think they had Democrats in Utah. Stephanie Pitcher. Utah House of Representatives. By golly, she is. We can view her sponsored legislation from this year. See how much else, here, we'll do it together. See how much else she does with medical records. Maybe that's all she does. Expungements, public employee fee recovery, summons amendments, infant at work, water usage. I don't see anything else criminalizing medical records. She's a busy girl. Dog injuries. Oh, all these were abandoned. That's crazy. Artificial turf placement modifications. That's nuts. I did not know she was a Democrat. How many Democrats are in Utah? How many Democrats in Utah legislature? Let's find this out. 6 in the Senate out of 29. 14 in the House out of 75. They're an endangered breed. I'm going to check into Miss Pitcher. Wasn't there a girl named Molly Pitcher? Who was that? Molly Pitcher? Molly Pitcher. Oh, the heroine of Monmouth. Not heroin. Not like that. Fought in the American War of Independence. All right. Settled. Press, please. Going to live off my hub's income, put mine into mortgage for a year. House will be paid off, and I will quit to homeschool my baby. She's 3. She likes listening to this high IQ. Says, don't forget Jesus loves you. Christ is king indeed, mail lady. That's amazing, by the way. Congratulations. That's a big commitment. It's a big commitment, but you guys are absolutely amazing. Paying off your mortgage in a year. Dave Ramsey would be so proud. He would be so proud. Are there any laws restricting autopsy photos, videos from being released in Butler, Pennsylvania? If so, when was it passed? Oh, that's a good question. We'll have to check on that. I don't have time to do it right this second. That's a good question. You think I don't wear pants? I wear pants. You guys realize I just say stuff. I don't even think about it. You doubted me, my B. I'm high IQ. Never doubt high IQ. I don't doubt you. I just didn't understand what all the 3s were. I'm told 33 is a dangerous number. Did you watch Erica's interview from the Educator Summit yet? I want your reaction. I've watched about 15 or 20 minutes. How long was it? I didn't even remember. I just know I had to stop in the middle. I need to pull it up and watch the whole thing. That may have been most of it. I don't know. You wore underlings for one show. Yes, you did. Underlings? What's an underling? What is an underling? I don't even know what that is. What is underling in clothing? Oh. I don't know what that means. Sorry, that was me, but accidentally hit the dislike button, but I fixed it real quick. Trying to cook and hit the like at the same time. Just bought my Go Max shirt and hoodie too. Christ is king and Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. Ditto to Dad. I hope your food is delicious. Why do they such complex imitate instead of chest it? I don't know what you're saying. I think it sounds like, why did they go for the neck instead of the chest? And I don't think they intended to, if that's what you're asking. Crawford was my law review note. Love that case. Lance Twiggs better be at trial, assuming TR makes it there. Thanks for all you do. Jill of all trades, would you believe it? Crawford came out while I was in evidence, the class. And so basically it came out in the middle, and we'd already studied all these exceptions that previously existed. And my evidence professor came in the next morning. She was like, everything we just learned, don't worry about it. Confrontation means confrontation. You got to drag him in from now on. And so we had to really dig through Crawford in order to come up with enough material to replace everything we just talked about. Crawford so simplified the state of the law on confrontation. I don't know how old you are, Jill, but if that tells you how old I am. My brother's inquest soon. I'm dreading it. This community, Daisy and you, restore my faith in good people, especially how everyone came through for your friend. Thank you, Rachel. What's an inquest? Where are you in? United Kingdom? Inquest UK. Research into sudden or unexplained deaths? You guys use weird words for stuff. Normal stuff gets a weird word over there, so I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. I love watching you live. After watching Candace live, it's all the entertainment I want and need. That's all I need. That's all I need. Pic of CK carried to the car shows his arm hanging down, which had good color. Surprising given the amount of blood loss. Unless he must lost more blood in the SUV. It did not look like he was losing more blood after the initial kind of wave. In which case, and blood looks like more than it actually is. Volume is very deceptive. Like, it's possible he only lost like a pint or two at the stage. And if he didn't lose more than that, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say it because people get all weirded out when I say stuff, but what are your thoughts on CK selling his house when he did? Why then? Much love from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Kaylee and Scott. Kaylee, I know precisely where Hopkinsville is because all the time growing up, I would get weather reports from Hopkinsville on the local news. What are my thoughts on CK selling his house when he did? Trying to think of what I've learned that's off the record, what I'm allowed to say. I don't know that they lived there terribly long. Obviously, they just owned it for a short period of time. I don't know. I don't have many thoughts on it. I don't find it maybe as suspicious as I once did, but I don't rule out entirely that there's some suspicious quality to it. I hope all this opens your eyes to what it truly means to live like Christ, helping those in need, supporting one another, and putting faith into action. Baron, you did a wonderful thing for your friend's family last week. Thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. I know how much it means to his wife. And I know it has given her the space to properly grieve without the pressure of immediately having to run back to work next week. And that's something that was a huge concern of everyone I knew. Baby boy battle bump. There you go, Jennifer. That's the alliteration we're looking for. World's a better place with you in it. Well, thank you. Thank you. That's very kind. I've had people say quite the opposite recently. No one I know. Continue to pray for your friend's family and for the repose of his soul. May he rest in peace with Jesus. Christ is king indeed. Nothing needed to add there. How many times has evidence changed? Kristen, in this case? I don't know. I'm calling it. Feds will say LT fam hit lotto. You know, Jeffrey Einstein hit the lotto. It was like 80 million or something. It was a big lotto. How about a Baron card deck in the merch store? Except the problem is, here at Club Coleman, we use bikes. I'm a bike fan. I think it's a great, for the money, it's a great deck. When we're playing fancy, we use Copags. We don't use Copags with the kids because these are too expensive to let kids play with. But a deck of bikes is doable. Yeah, and you could buy, I think it's coming a 24-pack on Amazon. Every now and then they hit the deal of the day on Amazon, and a 24-pack is very affordable. And I know it's going to last the kids like a year, so I'll go ahead and buy it. But we play a lot of cards. I like card games. Sometimes I'll just open a deck and play with them while I'm reading or whatever in here. A Baron deck of cards. What would we say on them? You that picture of me that's floating around in the middle on the opening? We could put that on there. All the demons must live in AZ because it's hot as hell. No kidding. Holy mackerel. I know I have to live a better life because I cannot handle the heat. I learned that last weekend. That's the number one thing I learned while I was there. You're going to have to live a better life, son. Like, you cannot risk it. You cannot risk it. Do we know why the feds or state police suspected Tyler in the first place? One college-looking kid amongst hundreds. Why him? If I had to guess, it was because of the gun. You know, you trace the gun back to granddaddy, and then you start looking at, I don't know, like what college-age kids are related. I really don't know. That's a good question. It's a great question. I don't know. Maybe they had some facial recognition software or something. The gravest threat lies not in open adversaries, but in those who cloak their malice behind a mask of friendship. That's beautiful. I mean, terrifying, but beautiful. For Charlie, may he guide us all to the truth. Christ is king. God bless you, Baron. Well, God bless you as well. Thank you. Christ is king indeed. Baron, I live with, care for my 83-year-old grandma as best as a 24-year-old can. After girlfriend passed 1 year ago this month. Oh, grandfather. She said, I was like, Granny has a grandma? Granny has a girlfriend? Granny's living large at 83. Sorry. Granny, after grandfather passed one ago this month. She had a UTI for the first time last month. Can you give a few prayers for her health? Family and I have been trying all we can and are worried. I'll absolutely pray for you. That's a heavy burden to carry at 24. You're a holy person for doing it, honestly. Like that is giving your grandmother as much dignity as she can at that age is beautiful. You should be very proud of yourself. Not like sinful pride, but like you should be happy. I mean, you should be confident in who you are. UTIs are terrifying in elderly people. They start hallucinating. Have you noticed that? I don't know why that is. Young people don't hallucinate when they get a UTI. B. Charlie knew something about the data centers. So did Suchir Balaji, guy murdered for being a whistleblower for OpenAI. Well, I agree, Balaji, his case looks awfully weird. Did you see the Tucker Carlson interview where he just flat out basically called Sam Altman a murderer over that? He was like, this Balaji guy, you killed him, right? And Altman's like, no, it was a suicide. He's like, you really think that? It didn't look like a suicide. It looked like he got murdered. His family thinks you murdered him. Whoa. I don't interview that way, guys. That's not how I interview people. If I ever interview you, I will never accuse you of murder on air. Like, not while you're in the room. Maybe after you leave. I mean, but we'll examine the evidence. I don't know. Did Charlie know something about data centers? I don't know the answer to that. Your Majesty, great show once again. All of this has to start to have an effect on the case. P.S. I got charged twice for my membership, on the 20th and again on the 21st. I would dispute one of them. You shouldn't get charged twice. Oh, and a total note here. If you ever want to subscribe to the channel, open a browser. Don't do it through your YouTube app on your phone. Open a browser and do it. It's cheaper. It's like $3 cheaper. I don't know why. I think it's Apple App Store takes their money if you do it through the YouTube app. I just save you $36 a year. I'm doing my best out here, people. About the lady with the goat named Blossom. What's better than roses on her piano, tulips on her organ? Oh my gosh! I can't believe you made me say that. Oh my gosh! I walked right into that. I was like, roses on the piano. What do we do? In my mind, I'm thinking of the song "Songbirds," because I'm innocent, and I'm not like you, Luke. I'm innocent. And there's a story about when they recorded the song "Songbirds," Fleetwood Mac on the gosh, what's the name of that album? Rumors album. It's a beautiful story about they got Christine McVie to come in. She'd written this gorgeous song. It's one of my very favorite songs. She'd written this beautiful song, and they come in and they're at a theater in Berkeley, I think, or somewhere up in the Bay Area. And the whole theater's dark. They have like a single spotlight on a grand piano, and it's got a bouquet of flowers on it. And they walk her out there, and they're like, just play the song. And they just sat back there and listened to her in one take play one of the most beautiful songs ever written, ever recorded. And so when you say roses on the piano, I think, oh. And then you hit me with smut. You hit me with smut. No, I'm just kidding. Branford Dictator, I would accept. Now, I would tell you it would be rough go for the first few years. For several years, you guys would not be happy with my dictatorial nature. But as a dictator, you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. And then after 10, 15 years, you'd go, oh, I see what's going on here. We're moving in the right direction now. But it would be really rough for a couple of years. Like the dollar would plummet. We'd go into austerity government. Benefits would be just slaughtered, violence in the street. It would be rough going. But once everything cooled off a little bit, once the economy caught up to the new changes, oh man, you'd have so much freedom under my dictatorship. So I will do it. If you ever elected me dictator, I would allow it. But know what you're getting yourself into. Oh, I didn't read the rest of it. Thanks for all you do for Charlie. How do these people live with themselves? I can't wrap my head around it. 5 months sober. Congratulations, Laura. I bet your life is immeasurably better. I bet you can't even describe it. Congratulations. Stick with it. My B, trying again. Off-topic thoughts on legendary video of Stevie and Lindsay performing Silver Spring. Hope you connected with the Tennessean. Christ is King indeed. I did. They emailed me, and I emailed them back. Stevie and Lindsay performing Silver Spring was one of the greatest performances. I don't know, how did we get on Fleetwood Mac tonight? One of the greatest performances. I remember who introduced me to that song. It was on a political campaign back in 2010, 2008, 2010, something like that. 2010. And guy was in from out of town, and he made a comment about the song, and I said, yeah, I've heard the song. He's like, have you ever seen the live version? I was like, I don't think so. And he pulled it up on, maybe on YouTube. I don't know. He pulled up a live version of it, and I was just blown away. And the looks on their faces as they're going back and forth. It was beautiful. Edge, I could be wrong, but didn't Frank Turek say he picked up a pendant right when it happened and we see him grab for something? I don't remember him saying that. If someone has that, send it to me. I don't remember that. Hey, my B, I'll watch later, but happy belated Dad's Day to ya. My dad went to church with me for the first time ever yesterday. Christ is King indeed. Never forget. Jesus loves you too. Thank you. That's a beautiful story. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Baron, it's a benefit for the kids. My boyfriend's mom died when he was 12, and he and his brother received Social Security benefits. Go Max. Great work. Well, Jeff had 4 kids, so good. I hope that works out for them. I would love to know that that's true. Love to know that that's true. Check your emails for my logo idea. Man, we have a logo here at the RBP. or RIP now. The Real Increase podcast. In reference to the Social Security comment, my daughter lost her husband last year. He was 33 years old, diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. About a month later, she started receiving a little over $1,000 per month per child from Social Security. Really? Y'all don't tell Mrs. Coleman about this. This is not a loophole she needs to know about. Just keep this between us. Don't tell Mrs. Coleman. Let's just keep that between us. Owen Schroyer shared today he wasn't allowed to fill up his truck in Texas. They've limited gas to $50. Your advice for us peons. Christ is king indeed. $50. That won't get that. That'll give me about a little less than a third of a tank in my car, in my truck. My truck was $175 to fill up the other day. The good news is I only fill up once a month or less. I don't drive anywhere. I don't go anywhere. I drove today for the first time, and I was like, man, I haven't driven in feels like weeks. I forgot how to operate this thing. How do you get it in reverse? Christ is king indeed. I don't have advice. I guess drive sparingly. I don't know. Hopefully this war situation resolves. Get the straits back open. With Social Security money, a little help from mom, my daughter continues to homeschool my grandbabies. Now, that's a beautiful story, Renee. That's a beautiful story. There was an ex-post saying it wasn't a Rode mic. She said it was a DJI Mic 2, which has a belt transmitter. That's just not true. I don't believe that's true at all. I believe it was a Rode Go wireless or wireless Go or whatever. I have the 3. I think he was wearing the 1. I don't want to get up again. I'd get out and show you why I know that, why I'm confident of that, because you can see the outline of it. And it's just not the same as the DJI. My B, I'm so proud you got my coded super chat YouTube censorship. Well, I almost can't even read that one, though. Thank you, Moon Goddess. Now, since we know BH has the bloody bag, can defense summon it and request to be tested? You mean subpoena? And yeah, probably. I would think so. The Black Line Brief is revealing Erica and Pastor's podcast by podcast. Open research. That sounds like good work. Thank you, Jessica. Once formal charges read prior to preliminary hearing, does the defendant have opportunity to enter plea? Is it because capital case and strategy, no plea entered? Yeah, here's the problem. Why would he enter a plea before the judge has determined he's going to go to trial? Like that, to me, that would not make any sense. Let it play out. If let's say the judge says, there's no, the prosecution did not meet his burden, case over, case dismissed, but he's already entered a guilty plea. I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm not recommending him do that. By the way, B Trigger Smart has been in the chat with us. Oh, has he? Good evening, Trigger Smart. I hope everything's going well. Do you think EK's ancestors' gambling history crosses paths with the Adelsons? Could she, AK, be working together on MA's behalf? Not out of the realm of possibility. I don't know. I don't rule anything out right now. Look up 11-year-old boy Gannon Stotch case. YouTuber posted his autopsy photos behind a paywall about a year ago. This may be why the law is being passed. Was that in Utah? Was that in Utah? Colorado Springs, Colorado. Oh, he was murdered by his stepmother. That's tragic. That was in 2020. Let's see about the autopsy photos. Yeah, I don't know. That was back in 2023. What a terrible thing. He was selling them for $3. I promise never to sell anyone's autopsy photos for $3. That's just like a commitment I'm making today. Scout's honor. For Mrs. Armstrong, look for Social Security website, find survivors benefits. Each child in Mrs. Armstrong would qualify for benefits regardless of her or Mr. Armstrong's age. Well, that's good to know. That's excellent to know. Rule 1102 just started 5/1/25. That's lucky for the prosecution. Is that true? I'm looking that up. Thank you. No, it was established following a 1995 constitutional amendment. They may have updated it in 2025. No, the last update was February of 24. So that would have been interesting. It's a stretch to think Lance was the patsy and orchestrated getting TR to UVU and offered him up instead. Twiggs is doing now well, globetrotting. Is it a stretch? No, I don't think it's a stretch. I don't think it's a stretch. Wait a minute. Is that the Jenny Huffman? Hold on. No. My wife knew a Jenny Huffman very well back in the day. And I don't think you're her. But thank you. Colleen, before you go to Memphis, check out video Peter Santinello episode from last weekend. Amazing what they did with the Sears building. Freaking love you. I was just going to go get lunch. I'm not going to the Sears building. But if it's cool, I might. Memphis kind of scares me, if I'm being honest. There's a reason we put it all the way on the other side of the state, like way over there. I'm kidding, Memphians. Kidding. Yo, my B. Much respect for show. Patty Hearst intro honestly sounded like A++ college dissertation classic. Got to ask, who's your favorite baseball? I'm going Yanks in your T-Boya accent. No, the Braves. We're Braves fans. Been Braves fans for a long time. I grew up around here. I never encountered anyone who wasn't a Braves fan. Now everyone moved in from California. We got Angels fans, Giants fans, Dodgers fans. It's weird. Padres fans. But I'm a Braves fan. I get an emotional reaction to seeing the Braves uniform. I can't explain it. Hi, Baron, for Super Chat. Hubby and I love the show. Type in TR's full name and .com redirects TPUSA. Why? So weird. Saw it on JP. Christ is King indeed. Daisy Romo. Would you guess the very first podcast that featured that? Would you like to know? I'll tell you. Your humble host. That's right, Daisy. That's right. Good call. Daisy, my Daisy, the podcast's Daisy. She discovered that. We reported it a week or two ago, and it has taken off like wildfire. So thank you for alerting us that was out there. You might as well just say you don't watch all the shows. I wonder if they didn't get the gun from Lance. Now, I've wondered that for a long time. It makes more sense to me. It makes sense to me. And I also wonder why does he have to show up in person? That doesn't make sense to me. Utah's upside down on that stuff. Well, I mean, I think he will for the actual trial. He just doesn't right now. 1:15 this week in Scottsdale. Coincidence, the worst people are from a place that seemingly resembles hell. Hey, my uncle lives out there. Don't say that. Don't say that. He's not the worst people. But you're not too far from accurate there. Not too far from accurate. Make it make sense, Baron. When did T read the note under the keyboard if he was at his parents'? The timing isn't timing. Oh, actually, though, I think those texts were the night before. I think those texts were supposed to be the evening of the 10th. Again, we don't have timestamps, so we don't know. But if I'm not mistaken, those were supposed to be from the 10th. Crawford, 2004. I'm 58, went to law school at 35, retired in February. I'm sure you recall after 20 years. I remember 2005. I was telling you, I was in evidence when that case came out. Went to law school at 35. Yeah, so you'd have been in law school at the same time, right? Did you go to law school with me? Were you a classmate? I wasn't very talkative in class. I was the quiet guy, like in the 13th row, sitting over in the corner taking notes on his Dell laptop. I had this is not a joke. I had an 8 or a 16 meg thumb drive. And in my mind, I thought, why would you need this is so much storage. You never need something bigger than this. That would hold like one picture today. But at the time, I thought I did the math. I was like, this would hold 100,000 Word documents. Why would I ever fill this thing up? And it was like $100. Now you just give them away for free as like trinkets. And they're like 4 gigs. I missed one. Regarding an earlier question, I recall Brian Enton saying police had TR on a suspect list early on, never explained how. I thought suspicious at the time. That is suspicious. I'll have to look into that. How did he end up on that? Pure speculation. Charlie tried to fake and disappear. Remember Victor Mark's comment to Corby? Something went wrong and the necklace is the cause of death. So that's crossed my mind. That was not a pet theory of mine early on, but it was a theory that I had early on that he had attempted to fake his death. And maybe like 2 weeks, I believed that. I don't remember when it was. It was after Google Trends, but before I started doubting Erica. So it'd have been like between October and December. There was about a 2-week period where I thought, man, I bet he faked this. And then it went wrong, and either it went wrong and it killed him, or it went wrong because they killed him after the fake. Or while he thought they were wiring him up to fake it, and it ended up killing him. I thought that. But I didn't think it very long. It was a very short period of time. Candace with the battle bump tonight. Got my RBP t-shirts today. Great quality. Thank you for low prices. Need to work something about the knuckle ratio in a merch. Oh, gosh. I can't do that, Jenna. People will hate me. Can you imagine people walking around in t-shirts with like, you have fat knuckles? It has like a hand on it with big fat knuckles. Oh, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I would love to. Like a big piece of me wants to, but the smart part of me is like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, we do have good quality merch, and we do keep the prices low. Like we keep the prices low as they'll let us set it. Can the defense call LT to discuss texts, note, etc.? No, not at this trial, not at this hearing. That's what they've decided. I think that's what the whole issue was. What would the jokers be on your cards? They're just jokers. Why? Oh, on my deck. I thought you were talking about on the set of bikes. I'm like a standard bicycle jokers. You know, guy on a bicycle. On my cards, what would the jokers be? Coach. I guess he makes me laugh all the time. It'd be Coach going, Mama. Why do they always stress the long talk with the surgeon? Who actually says that about a grieving widow? I don't know. I didn't know they stressed that. Long talk with the surgeon. Baron, mid-June heat here in Arizona is only preheating for summer. Oh, gosh. It gets worse than what I felt. I think it was 109 one day when I was there. 107, something like that. Oh. It's a dry heat. No, it's not. That's the problem. 30-6 went through 3 cast iron skillets, passed off the 4th. All right. I told you I didn't know it was something like. Don't start exaggerating now or people will stop listening. The truth is enough. Love you, Baron. Christ is King. It went through a lot more than 3 inches of neck tissue. I'll say that. For the grandma with the UTI, you can't say that on YouTube. That's an ugly word. Demanosi? Does it matter who the man was that encouraged Tyler to turn himself in? From policeman, P investigator, to now famous podcaster, said in private a Fed. Is Mike Mitchell a famous podcaster? Doughboys? Oh, Mike Mitchell's a comedian. Is that him? I've not heard he's a podcaster. Unless I'm reading your comment wrong. Hey B, timing on the burn note. Could that have been because the note was to back the story that was supposed to be where TR no longer here? Note had to go. Happy belated Father's Day. Yeah, I think a lot of the evidence was because Tyler wasn't supposed to be here any longer. I think he lived. I think he got smart and turned himself in. I think 2 hours later he'd been dead. Who is censoring supers? You or YouTube can't write noin. What's noin? I'm not censoring. They have a list of words you're not allowed to say, but I don't know what it is. Noin. I don't know what no. You just wrote it. Noin. UTI, elderly hydration is super important for their brains. Elderly cognition is taxed due to age. Go Max. Thank you, Baron, for 4 months with you. And Ian, my brain is blown. You two speak like my pops who passed in 2024. Your pops sounded brilliant, Melissa. Your pops sounded amazing. I would have loved to have known him. I believe the new TPU USA stands for Toxic Pathological Untruths Spread Aggressively. Enjoy listening. Keep up the good work, my friend. I'll do my best, Mountain Girl. I'll do my best. I can't say all those words all the time, though. I'll forget them. Best podcast ever. Love you, my baby. Go Max. My baby? I have a little baby. Little grandbaby. She's about this big. Go Max. I'm doing my best out here, Marissa. I'm doing my best. Anybody else know the Mormon connection to the Rothschilds? I think you read into where that may lead, allegedly, in my opinion. Did I? I don't know what the connection is. Should have said my B, not my baby. Sorry, Mrs. Coleman. Oh, phew. I was so confused. I didn't know if you were talking about the grandbaby or you were hitting on me. But that's settled now. We've cleared that up. No offense taken, Marissa. Mrs. Coleman forgives you. Will write my question. First comment gets censored. Who is censoring comments? What are you guys trying to say? Just use different letters like Moon Goddess did. I want you as a dictator made into a book series. That would be a good book. You realize there'd be mass chaos for a few years. And then we'd have to crack down. We'd have to like iron fist it for a few years. And then when it settled out and everybody's like, oh, this is where we were headed the whole time. And then, yeah, see? I've been around since October. I don't quite think you understand the positive impact you have on our lives to be better people. We love you. Surrendered, that means a lot to me. That means more to me than most things I hear. So thank you. Thank you. If we could all be a little better every day. You know, JP Sears has this podcast I've been watching called The Better Man Project. I actually watched it today while I was warming up during my workout. It's so motivating. And he talks about like just what it takes to be a better man. I think he's only got 4 or 5 episodes. But if you get on YouTube and search JP Sears Better Man Project, you'll see it. To begin with, the guy's jacked out of his mind. I know he's in very good shape. But he has these like motivational things he speaks throughout his workouts about what it takes to be a better person. And they're just like simple everyday truths. But when you hear someone else say it, you're like, you're right. You're right. We love you more. Hey, B, speaking of Vans, I mean to ask you if you saw the Artemis astronaut shoes he had made. Artemis NASA Vans. You may want to pair yourself. Love you, B. I'll wear them just if they're not expensive. I'll wear them ironically. Artemis NASA Vans. No, I'm getting all this transfer van stuff. Shoes. Oh, man, those do look good. Oh, man, the bright orange. The problem is they're twice as much as the Vans I buy. I don't feel guilty buying the Vans I buy because they're $45, $50. These are like 90. I'd feel bad about that. Did you go over the Butler info you missed yesterday? I haven't watched you yet at work. Hospitals are open 24/7. You crack me up. Lazarus Love, did I go over the Butler info you missed yesterday? What Butler info did I miss yesterday? I don't know. I have to go back and look. You translated my super chat but didn't answer. Oh. Well, only one thing at a time, Moon Goddess. Divine intervention to get truth out to be reason for neck hit. Had it gone as planned, could have been accepted and closed. Oh, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the luckiest thing, and I'm sure they're just kicking themselves that it screwed up that badly. I agree. A joy to find one who knows what alliteration is. Oh, you must be an English teacher. or an avid reader, one or the other. Oh, I always try to work in a little alliteration here and there. Yeah. How about RBP fingerless gloves as a nod to knuckle size? It can be our inside joke. Fingerless gloves. That's what the cool kids wore in the 80s movies, right? When they're getting ready to fight, they put on those fingerless gloves, or they drive their car around in fingerless gloves. I never understood that. But boy, did I want them when I was a kid. Not sure if you saw my comment the other day, but your friend's wife can file for Social Security survivor benefits for her and the kids. A huge help for me and my 2 kids since my husband was killed in an accident. Others have mentioned that, and I will make sure that someone alerts her to that. I'm sure someone has. D Manos is a supplement. Okay. Duly noted. I have a broken ankle. Requesting prayers from this cool grand jury, and do you think you will interview John Cullen? I don't know about that second one. Your humble host recovered from a nasty ankle break back in May of 22. It was a very long recovery. I don't know how bad your ankle break is. Mine was horrific. Like my foot was off my leg. And they had to like kind of put it all back together. And all the bones it was bad. I've got a True Value hardware store from the knee down on the left side. In fact, if you run your fingers down it, you can still feel the hardware in there. It's kind of creepy and gross. But I pray for you because I know that seems like something silly, but it is a nasty, nasty thing because you're always on your feet. You got to get on your feet to go anywhere. It's a horrible injury. Stevie N and Tom P, Dragging My Heart Around, one of my faves. Also one of my favorites. I like Tom Petty a lot, and I like Dragging My Stop Dragging. Oh, man, that's a great song. The censoring is what I described the other night. I changed several words and still don't know what I typed. Very frustrating. The other person was saying slang for nothing. Annoying. Oh. I don't know what you guys are trying to say. I don't know what you're trying to say over there. You got to give me some kind of a clue. Like use other words. They're just getting keywords. 43 here. River is 25. Whole day at beach. Oh, Celsius. I was like, that ain't 43 Celsius to Fahrenheit. It is 109. Where are you? CHF. What is that? CHF currency. A Swiss franc. It is 109 in Switzerland? You don't even have a beach in Switzerland. That's a landlocked country. You must be somewhere else or using a VPN or something. Good luck to you, though. Sounds like a beautiful day. Hot. Why perform CPR on way to hospital if CK was still alive upon arrival? Yeah, so there's a lot of debate there on whether he was still alive or not. The Brian Harpole telling people he had a pulse at the hospital is, to me, pretty damning for the whole story that he got shot in such a way that it killed him instantly. I mean, the hospital's 15 minutes away. He's not dead if he's got a heart rate. If he's got a heart rate on his own, he's not dead. Like, that's like pretty prima facie there. He's not dead. Quite alive. I had your hoodie on at Costco and people loved it. My heart broke post Charlie's death. Told parents it felt like an inside job. They said I was crazy. After watching EK in her first speech, I felt sick. Praying for your entire family. Christ is king indeed. Wow. We got some Costonians that are fans. Hey, Costco guys. Hi, Costco people. That's awesome. What size shoe you wear? You buying me shoes? No, I'm not going to tell you because you'll buy those Vans, and I'm not going to do that. That's not right. You guys are already too kind. When I do my mail call next time, I'll show you that you guys are incredibly too kind. So I don't want to sound like I'm asking for shoes. If I want shoes, I'll go buy shoes. They are pretty sick shoes, though, if I'm being honest. They are pretty sick shoes. But I would feel bad spending $90 on something I would only wear occasionally. Guys, we've hit the end of the show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button. Have you guys done a good job on the likes? Have I chastised you enough? This will be the third time I have to chastise you. Oh, you're doing okay. It's fair. Fair to middling. But yeah, make sure you're subscribed. people are being unsubscribed. I don't know why, but make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like button. And don't forget, Jesus loves you. Always. Always. But go be better tomorrow. Be better tomorrow than you were today. Even if you had a great day. Go be better tomorrow. Let's get better every day, people. I'm so motivated by that new podcast. Go be better every day. And I'll be back. I've reached out to someone to do a member show with me this week. As of the show start time, I had not yet heard back. And I gave that person the option of Tuesday or Friday, and I still have not heard back. So in all likelihood, the member show will be Friday. It'll either be solo or it'll be with that person, either one. So if you're not a member, you could always click the join button on the show channel page on YouTube. If you are, be looking for that. I'll be back Wednesday night and Thursday night, and then probably do the member show with you Friday. I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon, evening, night, wherever you happen to be. And I will talk to you very soon. Have a good evening.